I gotta pull the cover back on something here tonight and ask you a question. What is it like to be a working woman today? What is it like for them? What are their lives like? Well, if you let them tell the tale, man, it's all lit over here. It is great. They will say those words, those 4 fatal words, I love my job. You don't hear them say they love their husband. You don't hear them say they love their kids. They love their job, though. Man, oh man. Let them tell it. And this on your screen, this is the picture of the working woman today. Let them tell the story. Or if you really try to tell them, well, what is your life like? They tell you, this is what my life is like. I love my job. It's fulfilling. It's enjoyed. It's better than people. And when I do need people, I go hang out with my girlfriends. So it either looks like picture A or it looks like this one right here. This is it right here. This is what it means to be a working woman today. This is what it is. You hang out with your bosses, with your gal pals, with your coworkers. This is the life of a working woman today. They'll let them tell the story. This is what it's like. This is what it's like. Yeah, but in reality, it looks more like this. Or, to be totally honest with you, it looks a lot more like this. Matter of fact, here it is right here. This picture right here in the 21st century, this picture epitomizes the life of the so-called working woman today. Tonight's program, I will tell you all in all candor, is actually inspired by some real life events of myself and some other men. And let me tell you here, boy, it really is mortifying. These women will have you believing that their lives are exciting. They talk about their jobs nonstop, ad nauseum, ad infinitum. They keep going on and on as if everything is going great and wonderful. But if you've ever actually had to spend significant amounts of time, have a long-term relationship with, or cohabitate with a working woman, let me tell you, it is the damn pits. And for those of you fellas out there who have had the pleasure or displeasure, torment, should I say, of being with a woman, if you were married, if you had a chick who had kids, it was more like this. Yeah, that was pretty much all it was. They go to work. If they're at work, it looks like this. When they get home, it looks like this. I mean, basically, this is what it is. And everything is gathered around creating the illusion that something else is happening that isn't. Everything is great. It's wet and wild. It's all wonderful and woolly. We are just having the time of our lives out here. It's all the way lit. We are just wonderful and glamorous. Man, if y'all don't quit this nonsense. They are living lives of quiet desperation. They are living lives of solitude. It is them and Facebook. It is them and a social media app. It is them and a chat room somewhere. Most of their time is already spoken for. That's the problem. Most of their time is already spoken for. If you want to know the reason why the majority of females today don't have a man, can't get a man, and even if they do get one, they can't retain them, it's because their time is already spoken for. It's terrible. They have basically arranged their lives around their job. So if you're a man, she will basically schedule you around her job. The job will take first and second priority, and not even necessarily because the employers require it. Let me tell you something. Every employer gives you paid days off. They give you vacation days. They give you sick days. These chicks show up like it's the military. Well, they show up like it's the military as long as they're over the age of 25, 27. Now, when they're the ages of 19, 20, 21, man, look here. They max out their paid days off. They call in sick. They'll be sitting there having theatrics. I remember when I was working for the biggest telecoms in America, some of these gals, I was scared to death when they hired a 20-year-old female because I knew it was coming. Boy, they would call you on the phone 7 o'clock in the morning. morning, cough, cough. Mr. Black, I think I done come down with the flu. Well, Sharkeisha, you only have 7 sick days. You've already been sick 11 days. So how do you think this is going to go when you come in to see me? Cough, cough. Mr. Black, I see what I can do about it, but I sure does feel bad. Now, if you think for a moment that she was sitting at home taking Theraflu, I wasn't that dumb. I knew what the hell was happening. No, you sit up, you go spend out the weekend and whatnot. You've been hanging out. It would always be Monday. Monday was hell. It still is. It was always Monday. On Friday, whoever was the first ones to leave on Friday, I'd be like, okay, ain't gonna see you Monday. Ain't gonna see you Monday. So I already knew what it was gonna be. As soon as they would be lined up at the doors sometimes. Yeah, that's the young chicks. The young chicks schedule their job around their life. But the so-called mature females, and over the age of 25, 27, they got you. She schedules her life around her job, anything and everything, including the man. You got to just get penciled in. You have to get penciled in like a patient, like a client, like a customer. And then when they go home, if you want to call it home, what do you have? You have pets, you have kids, you have houseplants, you have everything except for a life. And do not be deceived, they don't have a life. Not at all. Let me tell y'all something. The brutally sad truth today of the average female in the 21st century is they will sit up here and have you thinking that everything is great and it's sunshine and roses when they leave work. Man, don't let them fool you here. If they're lucky, they can get flued out somewhere on a random weekend once every other month. They don't have a schedule that gives them regularity. They can't make any type of plans. You got to schedule stuff with them 2 and 4 weeks in advance. Spontaneity is out the damn window. Why? Because they have to remain available for their job. They have to remain available for their job. Because they have to go and be able to make sure they can pay for the rent over their heads for their overpriced apartment or overpriced mortgage. And of course, to take care of that overpriced car with the outrageous interest rate on it. So they have to make sure they keep their jobs. Let me tell you, they'll lose relationships with men, relationships with family before they lose their job. Everything gets scheduled around that. And then they're telling themselves that there are going to be men who are going to be hanging out waiting for it and whatnot. And so all they really end up doing once they get past the age of 27 or so, man, all you got is a chick with a job she got a dude she can dial up to lay on top of her. And then when that never goes anywhere, because it never can, then she's going to call up some internet guru to sit up here and ask what the hell went wrong. How many hours you working? What are your priorities? This is just somebody who was available. Oh yeah, he was available and he didn't have very many demands. I forgot that part. He's available, but he doesn't have very many demands. So he's living a life of desperation where he gets in where he fits in. He's like some prospector in the desert, just going from one watering hole and then just trudging his way across the savannah till he gets to another one. His life is in constant drought, which is why he can sit here and deal with a female who can tell him, hey, thanks for this weekend. Can you drop by in a month? When they talk about, what is it, build a bear? We're talking about build a nigga? Okay, we're out here building abroad. Well, if I can string together 3 or 4 females here, I can get one the first week of the month, and then get another one. Well, she might be the second or third week of the month. And then there'll be a third one there. She live out in Kentucky, though, so might have to get that one as I go. And that's what it ends up being. No, what they would have you believe in is that they are on top of it. They would have you believing that it is great. They are on top of it. They're loving it. That there's nothing in life that gives them more fulfillment than sitting up here working 8-10 hours a day. And that they could do this for the next damn 30 years. And they are great. Man, look here. It is ugly out there, is what I'm trying to tell you. It's ugly. Hollywood can only make a picture last for so damn long. Have you all seen what the hell is happening out here on these streets? Is what I'm saying. Working women have absolutely abysmally boring lives. They have a smartphone in one hand, a key fob to a economy Asian car in the other, German economy car if she really worked it. And then that's it. I'm going to go ahead and step off into it here tonight. But before I do, everybody, I want to thank you all for joining us here tonight. If you're liking what you're hearing, you know how it goes. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, but also make sure you hit the like button as well. You know YouTube is going to try to bury what we're doing. But if you're liking what you're hearing here tonight, go ahead and post up. Hit the like button for me, smash that thing, and let the people know you're liking what you're hearing. You know, with so much that is said about women today, with so much that is said on the internet, you know what these guys are not really barking on is the fact that, by the way, even if you were a man who is in the top, I will just go ahead and say it, in the top 2%. I won't go down as far as 5%, and I won't go up as high as 1%. Even in the top 2%, even if you could do that, even if you could allow them and get them anything and everything, even if you were able to finance their lives and whatnot, do you realize that most of these females today couldn't go for it? In reality, they actually couldn't do it. My man Andre is in the chat tonight. He'll bear me witness. I ain't trying to put you on Front Street, Andre. I'm not telling nobody's business. I'm just saying, Andre, wink, wink. You know what I'm talking about. Every fella in here understands that. They don't have any time. They sit up here and complain. I put up a post on Facebook that was talking about, my next girlfriend won't be able to work full time. Okay, well, absolutely true. I'm going to stand by that. Absolutely true. But let's be very, very clear. Most of you ladies, they loved it. Boy, I'm telling you, hundreds and hundreds of likes. They loved it. They adored it. It was wonderful. And you ain't going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to do it. Why? Because you have already structured this abysmally boring life that you constructed for yourself. Because a man likes a woman who is able to give spontaneity. And that doesn't mean you have to necessarily jump and do some crazy stuff here, but a man doesn't want to have his entire life scheduled from the moment he gets up to the moment he goes to sleep. Women today, their lives are scheduled for a working woman. Her entire life is scheduled for the moment she wakes up to the moment she goes to bed. Let me go ahead and say this a different way. For those of you who are working women, you're like a single mother without the kids. Mic drop. Let's just go ahead and tell the truth and shame the devil. Working women are like a single mother without the children. Because her job is her child. Her job is her husband. Her job is her family. She'll come up with reasons to go to that damn place. If they talk about not having her, she'll come up with reasons for it. So if you want to know why it is that men gravitate to young, sporty females, it's because they haven't sold their souls to the devil. They haven't done that just yet. Leave them out there long enough and Long John Silver's Here We Go. But until then, they haven't sold their souls to the devil just yet. So you still got wiggle room in there. They haven't decided to go ahead and just give every damn thing away. They haven't decided to do that just yet. But the working females, oh man, that's a wrap. And then they get used to it. They craft their lives around it. They craft their existences around it. They want you to rearrange your life to fit her schedule. She'll have days off, she'll have vacation days, and forget about it. She's not touching any of that. Everything becomes a struggle. Everything becomes a fight. Everything becomes that. So I'm speaking specifically to you older females out here today. I'm speaking specifically to you. If you want to know why it is that the men are responding the way they are and whatnot, if you want to know why it is that they're not given the leeway that they used to, once you cross a certain age, and I'm talking about your mid-20s, can't even say your late 20s, mid-20s. Why? Because you live in an economic environment today where they can't wait that long. So by the time they get out of high school, it's really going to be the clock ticking until they finally either give up all hope. Once they say, I'm going to do it for myself, what that means is, nigga, you ain't going to see me anymore. And there they go. Then they go off and, I'm going to go chase a career. Most of you do not have careers, but for the few of you who do, it doesn't turn out any better. And I could see it differently if you were doing it and there was just some major, wonderful, lit stuff going on. But I just gotta tell the damn truth. You all have boring ass lives, man. I don't even know if I would call that a life. These are just boring ass lives. It's not like y'all are doing nothing. Ladies, I just gotta be truthful with you here. You're sitting up here, you go to a job, and that's the highlight of your day. That's the height of your status. When y'all leave those places, you're nobodies. No wonder you hang out on the internet and hang out on social media and play video games and sit up here and have all this other stuff going on online. Yeah, because the real world is whooping your ass with both hands. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to tell the truth. And the men listening to me right now will bear me witness. Ladies, it would be different if all these working women had these great, wonderful, lit lives, but you don't. Your lives are boring. It's the same damn routine. You're like a bunch of 12-year-olds. You have a time to get up in the morning and a time you got to go to bed. It's like dealing with a bunch of little old ladies. It's not like dealing with young, vibrant women. It's like dealing with a bunch of little old ladies in a nursing home. There's a time they get up, take their medication, go to work, come home, cook, bedtime, rinse, repeat. And then we'll complain about what the men are not doing or what they want them to do. But for most of you, I got to tell you, ladies, your lives are boring. Boring. Let me go ahead and tell you right now, if you are a female and the last exciting thing you did was post up pictures of you going to a club or a bar with your female friends, hate to tell you, you are boring. There's not a single man who sat there and took a look at that and said, wow, that's the chick I want to talk to. Right there, don't you see? There's no men around. There's a reason for that. Ladies, we see it all over the damn place. When you go to Red Lobster, Olive Garden, Ruth's Chris, you name the damn place. There's a whole bunch of females who come rumbling in packs and herds. You know what you don't see? Men. You don't see anything like that happening. Why? Because we understand this is boring. You know, you talk about all these females and whatnot, and you always talk about how, they get with Pookie and Ray Ray and Pookie and Ray Ray, and they love excitement. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess when they're younger, they do. But as they get older, they kind of just hang on to this really raggedy vestige of it, but it really isn't holding the integrity it used to. It really doesn't have that anymore. It's really just this raggedy, ramshackle, put together with scrap metal version of what it used to be. But working women don't have lives. Working women are boring. They don't have any time. They don't have any energy. They're losing their identity. They begin to identify as an employee because that's the only way they can be good at their jobs. Men can compartmentalize. Men are able to compartmentalize, and females complain about that when it comes to men and sex. Well, he can compartmentalize loving somebody and just having sex with them. Well, guess what? We can do the same thing with a job. The same thing that allows us to have sex with somebody. Let me go ahead and put up the right kind of graphic for it here. The same thing that allows us to have sex with somebody, without loving them, and to fight somebody, mixed martial arts, boxing, without hating them, is the same thing that allows us to work for somebody for 10, 20, 30 years without that becoming our identity. A man is able to engage in activities without that changing who he is at a basic fundamental level. Women can't do that. If you park a woman in front of a computer screen long enough, she tells herself that in 5 or 10 years, she's going to be this happy worker bee and she'll be able to do what the men are doing. No, when you stare into the abyss stares back. You sit in front of that screen long enough and you become an extension of your workstation. How many of the females listening to me right now, you've got a work laptop that you bring home with you? I want you to go ahead and have a moment of honesty here. It's a come to Jason moment. The females listening to me right now, how many of you have a work laptop that you use, that you bring home with you from your job? If you do, use the hands up emoji. Go ahead and put up the hands up emoji. And hit the like button for me also here. I know it's hitting you where you live, but it's time for you to go ahead and have a moment of clarity here. How many of the females listening to me right now, you have a work laptop, a work app, something that connects you directly to your work facility at your job that you take home with you? You've even gone out and bought the nice little portable computer bag protector thingy. You've even got those. I mean, you had to spend some of your own money to make sure it's okay. How many of you have a work laptop, a work iPhone? You have a work, or both, God forbid. How many of the females listening to me right now, you have a work laptop and or a work iPhone that you have to take home with you? I know I'm trying to tell the truth about it right now. Do you think that's exciting? Do you think that that isn't taking a toll? Do you think that we don't know that that thing is like a handcuff on you, that it's attaching you to your job? Do you think that we can't see that you are bringing the job home with you and then going to sit up here and defiantly tell a man, oh no, I haven't brought the job home with me? No. No, not at all. I haven't done that. And we're up here like, are you kidding me? I can see you cycling through the work cell phone numbers in your head right now. Now I want to ask another thing. Ladies, how many men do you know who bring home a work laptop and a work iPhone? They know better than to ask us to do that. They know better than to ask us. But for you all, it's routine. It's routine. So what I want you to understand is that when I tell you that your life is boring, when I tell you that you have been maneuvered off into this isolated little space and you haven't been able to see the changes, I meant what I said. You have all started to become single moms with or without the children. The man's going to have to structure time with you either around kids or around a laptop, around an iPhone, around an Android. And there's nothing else that goes on. And before you even try to say it, don't even try it. Before you even try to say it, oh, I came prepared tonight. There are some of you who think you're going to make the argument, well, Jason, you don't know everything. I mean, life be lit over here. And, I just have my own ideas about doing things. And sometimes I like to go off and get stuff done on my own. And I do go off and, take my excursions and trips and whatnot. Let me tell you something. I have been to most of the resorts you all can name. I have been to those places here. Let me tell you, the females, ain't nothing going on. Ain't nothing going on. There's nothing going on. Understand that. You can travel around the place and see ain't nothing happening. It's just a bunch of chicks running around with other chicks. That's it. Anybody who's seen the beaches in California, Florida, the East Coast, the Caribbean, it's just a bunch of chicks running around with chicks, and they're going to be there for a few days. Check their Facebook posts, check their Instagram posts, check their TikToks. They're only going to be there for a couple of days. It's basically a damn weekend. It's not like they're going to be there for a week or two. You might have one of them who worked the whole damn year. She worked the whole damn year, and she planned for the vacation in advance. Oh, hell, to the men out there, doesn't that just grind your souls into salt? You're with a female who's breaking her arm, patting herself on the back, talking about, well, you see, I've sat here and I've gone over my paydays off and my extra time. And, every 2 weeks that I work, that is 4 hours of time, 2 hours of time off. So I can go ahead and build that back together here. And in 6 months, I can take a week off. Okay. Wow. All right. So you have to sit here and do you're right. It's like Groupon. You have to sit here and wait for them to maneuver their way through all this jargon and garbage. And then you're supposed to be thrilled about it. That's a problem. YouTube is trying to keep my numbers down here tonight. So I want y'all to go ahead and do me a solid and share tonight's program. YouTube is trying to keep the numbers down, because this is an adult discussion that you're not hearing over there in the winus manosphere. We're talking about something real right here. In the real world, you want to know what the real issue is with working women? The issue with working women is they don't have a life. They don't have one. And they'll swear up and down that they're enjoying these great vacations in Jamaica and Barbados and St. Croix, and they're going to claim all that mess. Ladies, let me go ahead and burst your bubble right here. If you don't have the ability to go on a vacation and stay as long as you would like, you ain't vacationed. Let me try this a different way. If you're a working woman and your vacation ends in less than 7 to 10 days, you haven't been on vacation. That was an extended weekend. Let me tell you right now, on all the trips I've ever taken with a woman anywhere on this planet, it is a requirement that they have to be able to stay at least 2 to 3 weeks. And for all this talk about how much they love their jobs and this, that, and the other, and how much they love that, let me tell you right now, when you can go take her to a place and she can just go sit back and lay back and kick up her heels for 3 straight weeks, this what it looked like when you say, okay, let's go back home. It looks like this right here. All the time, every time, 100% of the time, it looks like this right here. This is what it looks like. This is what she doing. What you mean we got to go? Why I got to leave? Well, you got a job. I'll use some more time. You've used up all your time. I'll borrow some more time. It looks like this. Ladies, can we just be honest? This is not your life. You damn well wish it was, but this is not your life. And it sucks. And it only gets worse when you have to get back there and then you have to start pretending like everything is okay. There you are, mean mugging the laptop when you get back. Now you're mad and angry because, well, the man I'm with, I don't know why I got to sit here and do this right here. Now you're working, you're angry and surly, but eventually you're going to level out again and then you're going to become a cog in the machine. No. Can we just be honest? Women don't have exciting lives. They don't. It is men who make their lives exciting. We're the ones who bring the spark into it. Women by themselves don't have exciting lives. There is nothing more pathetic. Yes, I said pathetic, ladies. There's nothing more pathetic than a bunch of females sitting around trying to cheer each other up over alcoholic beverages. And the women know it. There is nothing more pathetic than a female off at a resort on a beach somewhere either by herself with a bunch of other females or with a gang of damn kids. There's nothing exciting about that. There's nothing about that that makes a man say, ooh boy, I wish I could jump in the middle of that. There's nothing about that that excites anybody. Hell, even your girlfriends don't want to get involved. Working women have absolutely destitute and boring lives. Fellas, to the young men listening here tonight, I just want you to understand the only females who have a little bit of something going on is maybe the females who are in your age group. If they're below the age of 25, okay, her life might be something resembling something happening, but then ask her, does it require alcohol? Because if it does, she ain't got nothing going on. There's really nothing happening over there. But for these chicks over the age of 25, over the age of 27, these working females, oh, it's a wrap. It's done. It's like Uno night. It's like bingo night. We've got a whole 2 generations now of a bunch of 30-year-old bingo ladies. They've got a phone. They got a laptop. They got a Netflix subscription. They can tell you every damn movie that has left Netflix this month and every movie that's coming, but she ain't got nothing going on. She's having struggle survival sex. She's out here having bummy ass survival sex. Some dude she met on Tinder or some app somewhere. And that's all. That's it. But there's nothing moving. There's nothing moving. The greatest fraud in the world they're pulling off is telling everybody, hey, it's great over here. It's wonderful. We're having the time of our damn lives. Boy, it's never been better. Then you go home with them and say, oh, great. Let me schedule a week or 2 so we can experience some of this excitement and stuff you got going on together. And then you find out it's nothing. Then you find out there's nothing going on. They're looking up recipes. They're not cooking. They're looking up mittens. No, this is a real thing. Ask any of your working females. They can tell you about how to buy some damn mittens. Mittens, oven mitts. All kinds of weird stuff. All kinds of weird things. All these cold weather indoor clothing. Their damn Winnie the Pooh house slippers. They all know where to get it. They've all got a pair of something big and fuzzy to put on their feet. It's the same damn thing everywhere. I know it's a bunch of female in your damn air fryers. They just go around and like a bunch of little hoarders. They go around and buy useless electronics. At least men buy useful electronics. They buy useless ones. Pickle makers. They go off and go buy that damn thing you can make pickles with. Nothing else happening. A life of absolute aimless boredom. Same damn cycle all the time. Wake up, work, eat, sleep, repeat. Take a vacation. You call it a vacation. How can it be a vacation if you're doing the same damn thing every time? How can it be a vacation if you're by yourself? You can sit with your thoughts at the park. Why would you pay $2,000 to do it in the Bahamas? That's the height of idiocy. If the Bahamas is special, then by definition, should you not be trying to prolong the experience? No, let's just be honest. Ain't nothing popping and nothing's happening. That's the issue. Nothing's popping and nothing's happening. If you are a woman who is working today, if you've been working more than 2 years, your life is a bore. While you're driving your Nissan Sentra or your Honda Accord or whatever little Kia Sonata or Hyundai Sonata, whatever little go-mobile that you're sitting behind here, ain't nothing popping. You're going to go straight to social media and try to front and fake as much as you can. They're either going to talk about what they did or what they haven't done, but that's going to be it. Nothing else will be occurring. Their lives are completely boring. And everything now is about saving face and making it look to the rest of the world like something is happening. And I'm just telling you right now, ladies, from the men who actually have the ability and the wherewithal to be able to spend time like that and watch your routine and see what's going on, understand something. We see what's happening out here. You can fake on the internet, but when men meet you in real life, you all's lives are boring. There's nothing going on. Your lives are boring. If it weren't for Facebook, most of you would be sitting in the fetal position under your beds. You're watching damn me TikTok videos all day, but there's nothing you're doing. So what you're really looking for is you want a man of means to come into your life because you're like, damn, somebody, Calgon, take me away. Save me from the monotony. Save me from this endless routine. Save me from Groundhog's Day. Save me from that. Most of you, unfortunately, there won't be a way to save you there because you're not really built for that. So it's not really going to be able to go very well. And you're not going to be built for that because what are your options? What are your options? If you want a man who's going to liberate you from that, you're going to have to be able to deliver something of equal means. Let's try this a different way. If you are dealing with a man who has complete freedom, do you think that a man who has complete freedom is looking for someone who is shackled and bound? If you have a man who is affluent, do you think he's looking for a woman who's struggling? If you have a man who is responsible, do you think he's looking for a woman who's reckless and irresponsible? I'm trying to bring this into stark relief for you here. You can fake in front on your little chat rooms all you want to, but the bottom line is Derek Jackson's female audience is a bunch of bored little chicks sitting at home. They can tell you everything in the world you want to know about houseplants, Sesame Street, Disney movies. These women have failed to progress into womanhood on their own. What they're not able to tell you is how in the world you can interest a man to stick around for more than 48 hours. That doesn't happen. Ladies, working women, is great and wonderful and everything that you can get a job. You can get a job. You can get a job. Yeah, you got a job. The only thing you don't have now is a life. All of you are sitting here getting eye strain at an early age, looking into computer monitors, laptops, cell phones, tablets. Yeah, you're doing that, but what's the payoff? Where's the payoff for all of this? What is it that you have to show for it? You know, we used to have to just, if you want to know how badly your mamas messed most of you over, I'm saying it just like it is. If you really want to know how badly it is that most of your mamas messed most of you over by telling you, well, go off and go get a job, it's because her big ass understood that once you were shackled to that job, that was it. And it worked out great for her. Because she knew that, well, as long as you're shackled to that job, you'll be making money. She doesn't have a husband. So, this will be good. Let my daughter go to work so she can be my retirement plan. Well, it works out great for her. But she also understands that if you have a job, that job is going to take precedent over everything. You're not going to have a man. You're not going to have a man and all the benefits that come with that. Understand something. Men have vision, okay? Men have vision. Men have goals. Men have ambition. Men think outside the box. Men are the ones who bring excitement. Men are the ones who bring spontaneity. Men are the ones who bring the unexpected. Men are the ones who bring surprises. Your damn girlfriends have never surprised you in a good way. Your female friends have never surprised you in a good way. There was a reason why everybody was so excited when I did Galentine's Day, and everybody else wanted to steal it, but that's because I told you all a fundamental truth that no one had said up to that point. Women don't buy other women gifts. That's why Galentine's Day is a damn sham. Valentine's Day only matters if there is a man in the equation. But if you remove a man from the equation, Valentine's Day is useless and worthless because other women don't value you. Other women aren't looking to surprise you. Other women aren't looking to be spontaneous with you. Other women aren't looking for that. As a matter of fact, if you do want to hang out with your girlfriends, they want to know what the damn budget's going to be. And let me go ahead and remind you all of one thing right here. There's a video going around. A lot of people are passing around talking about, oh, this chick talking about a date needs to cost $200. When females go out with each other, man, is $20 tops. It's gonna be a fist fight between them broads if it goes over $30. Why do you think they love even the nicest chick you know wants to go to a bar? Why? Because she wants somebody else to subsidize her night out. Women ain't gonna spend money on themselves, much less another woman like that. Fellas, you've been tricked and conned into upping the price and competing against competition that isn't there. That competition is not there. It's just, they're just telling you these stories to fool you, but it's not there. When they go out with themselves, that's not what they do. I had a chick who was sitting up here talking about, oh, it doesn't matter. I was sitting up here telling her about buying a Bentley and about, a woman needs a man to take care of that for her. And she's sitting up talking about, oh, I can buy a Bentley for myself as she's driving by in her 2007 BMW 3 Series. Fellas, they're very, very good for sitting up here selling you on dreams. They're going to be very, very bad for making good on them. And I just want you to understand what you're looking at. Their lives are boring, but the real thing is to let you think that if she's able to get 10 seconds of sex somewhere, that equates to having a lit life. That if she can get somebody to lay on top of her and she got to pay for it, now that Spirit Airlines and Frontier have merged, all the thoughts can be looking forward to discount air travel with more planes to more places. But they will sit up here and deceive you into thinking that if they can get somebody to lay on top of them in in another city for the weekend, that's lit. And she knows full damn well she's abandoned a piece of her soul. That's how exciting her weekend is. Let me go ahead and pay a few $100s to get something I could get where I am. That's how lit and wonderful it is. That's how great it is. No, working women have boring lives. And let's not even add overtime into the equation. Let's not even add overtime to the equation. To my females out there, to the ladies listening to me tonight, those of you working in administration, those of you working in healthcare, those of you working in law, those of you working in politics, your television carves out a life that doesn't exist. They carve out a life that simply doesn't exist. These females out here are following in the footsteps of what Hollywood said, and they get out there and realize, oh hell, there's nothing over here except work, and a hell of a lot more work. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here. However, there are some of you who may not believe, or some of you who may dispute, or whatever the case may be. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the program that laid the foundation upon which all of these red pill, MGTOW, high value posers and frauds, alpha male clowns, and all these other ripoff artists are going to be stealing everything they hear tonight and regurgitating it next week. You heard it here now, and you heard it here first. So go ahead and give us a call. And if you have been instructed by my moderators to call in, you must call in. That was not a request. That was an order. So if you have been instructed by the moderators to call in, you don't have a choice in the matter. You've got 2 minutes to be on the line, or you'll spend the rest of your life without it there. By the way, to anybody who has paid their chat room restoration fee, that includes you, Miss Wade. Sheila, I've been waiting for you to email me your information, ma'am. You never did. So for those of you who have tried to get back on the good foot, we might put things together for you here, but you got to get back right again. So you have to do what you have to do. CashApp does not allow the person you sent money to text you back. So that's what I'm saying. If you do that, you got to send your information. We can go ahead and get you rehabilitated. And remember, that's a one-time offer, by the way. You don't get to be a chronic disciplinary problem. Let's go ahead and see about opening up the phone lines here. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Tonight we're discussing working women have totally boring lives. But to be totally honest with you all here, the women of today's society actually have abysmally boring lives. Their lives are absolutely horrendously, pointlessly boring. It's the same damn thing. They sit in front of the TV, they watch Netflix, they get on Facebook, they get on Twitter, they get on Instagram, and it's the same vicious circle every day. How many of the women listening to me right now, let's go ahead and give you all an opportunity. How many of the women listening to me right now tonight, how many of you are willing to admit what we already know here? How many of you are willing to admit, Jason, all I got is a laptop and an iPhone from work and maybe a couple kids? How many of you are willing to admit that's where your life is? You didn't intend it, you didn't want it, but I'll be damned. You have a degree and destitution. How many of you are willing to admit that? Go ahead and let us know. Let's go ahead and open up the telephone lines here now. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Let's go ahead and get a caller from country code 447. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from 447 area code. Last try. You're on live.
Hello?
Yes, stop playing with yourself and rubbing yourself down. I know y'all get really excited when you hear my voice and everything, but calm down, ma'am. You're actually on the phone with me.
No, I'm calling in because it's kind of funny what I heard you just said just now about women that are working have a boring life. Because I've listened to most of your programs, yeah, and it says that most of the average men nowadays are struggling. So is it better to have a boring life than to be with somebody that's struggling?
Okay, here's the problem. Your life being boring has nothing to do with the men.
Okay.
Like when I tell the fellas about that being average means struggling, you realize I don't couple that to women. Well, fellas, you know, if it wasn't for these women, you wouldn't be average, or the women should motivate you to not be average. No, you're being average or you're underachieving is totally uncoupled from anybody else. That's the life you've made for yourself. Your life would be boring if all the men on the planet disappeared tomorrow. Your life would still be abysmally boring.
So what would be something that would be considered not to be a boring life then?
How old are you?
I'm 30.
And what's your name?
My name is Monique.
Okay, Monique is 30. And where do you live, Monique?
I live in London.
Okay, Monique is 30 years old and lives in London. Do you have any kids, Monique?
No, I don't.
Okay. Where are you originally from, Monique?
Jamaica.
All right. Monique is one of the Caribbean transplants who's in London. She's 30 years old. She doesn't have any kids. And what size do you wear, Monique?
So I think I would wear a size 8 in American size.
Okay. She's a little borderline, but we'll go ahead and let that pass because she's from the Caribbean. All right. The reason why I asked you all of that is because to even ask that question, what constitutes having a boring life? Monique, if your life isn't something that other people would compete to have, if your off work time isn't something that you know for a fact other people would actually bust me in the head to have the life that I have now, there's your first sign. Do you have a life that you are, when we talk about people's passions, your passions aren't supposed to be at work. That's supposed to be something that you have outside of that. So where is it outside of your job that you are devoting 100% of your personal and emotional energies toward?
So for me personally, what I devote myself 100% outside of work is like exploring new places because I'm going probably on dates, meeting new people, and doing things with my friends or doing things with my family, because that's what keeps me going. And I wouldn't consider myself to be a boring person. Maybe to some other persons, but I do have my days when I feel like, okay, there's not a lot that I want to do. But for me personally, I'm thinking like, if you're going to be in a relationship with somebody that's basically struggling, it's best to invest your time in work where you know you're actually getting a return on post wasting your time with somebody that you're not going to literally be getting anything from. Because if 10% of the men are what are actually making something, that means 90% is basically not in that state where they are actually able to provide you with certain stuff. And then at the end of the day, most black women are working, yeah? And that's how they maintain their life. And if you don't have money to spend, how are you going to have a fun life?
All right. Now, I want you all to understand, if you all ever wondered why it is the Caribbean chicks are all mostly single or single moms, that right there, everything she just said and rambled on, that's it right there. Now, she said, what do I like to do? I like to hang out with my family. You're 30 years old. You lived with your family for 2/3 of your life. You've lived with your family. Now that you're out on your own, you're telling us the only thing you love doing is spending more time with your family. Remember what I told you all about failure to launch? As females, when they have failure to launch. So she's telling you, yeah, I've been with them for 2/3 of my life. And even after a decade of supposedly should be at least being on your own, the first thing she can think of is, I would love to spend time with them. Now, there's a reason why we call it adulthood. Adulthood is where you have independence, where you separate yourself from them. And yet what she's saying is, yeah, this is the best use of my time. So just understand, this is going to be somebody who'll be taking care of her mom here in 20 years, which is exactly the programming. Make sure you get that job. Now, about the job, did you notice what she said there? Well, you know, at least with a job, you're actually getting something, as opposed to being with a man. At least with a job, you're actually getting something. Now, do you notice she didn't say what the something was? Did you notice that? She didn't actually say what the something was. So, Monique, why don't you go ahead and tell us all, what is the something you get at a job that is worth more than a man?
So with a job, you get money to pay your bills, and you get money to live the lifestyle that you want. While so basically you're living that lifestyle that you want at your own expense. So that's motivating for me personally. I don't know about anybody else. And it gives you independence, even though I've listened to quite a few of your programs, yeah, and you constantly say independence doesn't work for a woman. I do agree to some extent in regards to that. But then at the end of the day, at least with you being able to have your own finances as a woman, it makes it more easier to make decisions on your terms and not always relying on a man. Because sometimes most times that is, when a man has power in a relationship with regards to finance, it's like they use that as a way to control their woman. So with me, for when a woman has her own money, yeah, that allows them to have some amount of freedom in regards to choices.
All right, everybody. Let's go ahead and take what she just said point by point here. And for all the people listening here in the United States and around the world, get out your pens. Class is in session. Now, she said first, well, a job can replace a man because you have money to pay bills and live the life you want. Well, that all really does sound great in theory, doesn't it? But it doesn't actually work in the real world. And the reason that we know it doesn't work in the real world is because women routinely are making far less money than men do. So first and foremost, no, that answer can't be accurate. So money to pay bills and live the life you want, but the men already make more money. Oh, wait a minute. somebody might try to make a specious argument about why that may be. So stick a pin in that one. But first of all, money to pay bills and live the life you want. Independence. If you're shackled to a job, you call that independence? Being shackled to a job is understand, they don't think these things through. Being shackled to a job is independence. So it is offensive when you have a man who is taking care of you who asks you to do something. That's offensive. Now, a white man telling you if you don't show up for 8 o'clock tomorrow, you're fired and I'm going to take your livelihood from you. Now, that's not offensive. Understand how screwed the mindset is here. Understand when you're dealing with somebody who's taken on a willing slave mindset. Her man asks her to do something, that's offensive. A white man threatens her every single day. Why, she's not offended by that at all. Now, last but not least, she said, have your own finances as a woman because you don't want no man telling you what to do. Interesting. Monique, question. Among single females who do not have a male partner, single adults, male and female, among single adults who are not married, who carries the most debt?
Well, it depends.
No, it doesn't.
Well,
okay, ma'am.
Females.
Okay, I want you all to understand. Now, Monique,
your money
Monique, we do not talk over the host, ma'am. I want to catch that from the beginning here. Folks, understand something. The reason why I jump on that so quickly is because in the real world, when you actually are confronted with this and there's not a Jason Black on the phone, if you are congenitally dishonest, which is unfortunately what female society has become today in this feminine toxic environment, if I'm not there to stop you from that lie you were about to do, which was to stall and evade the question, you would never be able to get help whatsoever. So left to your own devices, you would just sit there and lie because you know what the truth is. But if you're allowed to sit there and evade the truth and lie, you'll just do it. So I want y'all to understand this is a sickness in the feminine mindset today. She knew what the answer was, but she was like, oh, hell. As opposed to, oh, wait a minute, this guy is trying to get me straight. So if you want to know what the real problem here is, she just said, a man telling me what to do. You have females today who are saying, I don't want anybody to stop me from messing up myself or the rest of the world. I have a God-given right to destroy everything around me. Now, come marry me. Now, you already knew the answer to that question. Among adults, male and female who are unmarried, who carries the most debt? And I didn't even say what specific kind. It doesn't matter what kind you name. Who carries the most debt, Monique, among unmarried adults?
Well, females.
And it ain't even close. Now, Monique, if a woman having her own money and don't tell me what to do, why is it that women's finances are far, far better and in far better shape and they carry much less debt when they're with a man versus your scenario of, well, I forgot a job. Ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do. It sounds like the men are telling you not to get yourselves into ruinous amounts of debt and you're offended by that. Why does that offend you, Monique?
Well, to be honest, I'm not one of those persons because...
Okay, did not ask you that, ma'am. You trying to hold yourself, did not ask you that. You trying to, first of all, we can't confirm it because I would have to see your credit to be able to see that. But second of all, even if what you're saying is absolutely true, you are not indicative of the society at large. So it doesn't, even if what you're saying were true, it doesn't matter. So you said that women don't need a man telling them what to do. And yet the females who do not have a man in their lives are routinely the majority of the debt holders in this society. Now, why is it that women routinely rack up way more debt when they're single than when they have a man in their lives? Why is that, Monique?
Because females tend to like to compete against each other. So what happens is that in competing, they try to accumulate more things that they don't necessarily need, and then that allows them to have more debts. So while men will live like on minimum, females always try to do the maximum, and that's what ends up in most of the debts that they end up with in the long term.
Okay, and you would like to see that, you see that as a bad thing, that the men can prevent women from racking up ruinous debt. Folks, the short version of what she just said is men have more discipline than females do. Men have more discipline because men are the most competitive people in the society, and yet we don't carry nearly as much debt as a single female unmarried does. Single unmarried men are more competitive than any female you ever met. And yet these young competitive men are fiscally disciplined and sacrifice. All things that you, according to your statements, shouldn't be necessary. If a female, work your own job and get your own money and don't let no man tell you what to do, it sounds like you have a problem with a man telling a woman not to destroy her finances. Because that's the thing that you said you don't want the men telling them what to do. If somebody were listening to you, they would think the men were telling them to go stand in the middle of the street on their eyelashes. And all it turns out is, oh no, the men want to tell her, no, you can't bring reckless practices here. And you're arguing that women should have a right to engage in reckless practices.
I never said that.
That's the effect of what you're saying. What is it that you're afraid that the men are going to tell them to do? Because a woman working by herself, quote, making her own money, all we really see is they end up with tons of debt that the men in their same position do not end up with. So it sounds like the only thing that you're afraid of is that the men will tell them that they can't be overgrown children and act recklessly. They have to actually act with some adulthood, maturity, and discipline. And you think that's a bad thing.
Not necessarily, as I said. So the thing is that I'm looking at the point that you always make, that average man is struggling. So if you're a female that's going to be thinking that, okay, I'm going to depend solely on a man to provide for me in regards to a lot of stuff, yeah, in the long term, you end up being one of those females that will be struggling in a later life. So I think in preparation to help yourself not to reach that stage when you get older, then the best thing to do is actually work and prepare for your future to come, so that way you don't end up in that situation. Because it's not like there is always going to be something that you can fall back on if that person that you're basically dependent on to provide for you doesn't. So it's best to have something to fall back on in the long term than to just invest all your time and effort into this person while you have the opportunity to work and provide for yourself to some extent.
Okay, you know what's wrong with what she's saying? What's wrong with what she's saying is it flies in the face of statistics and reality. That's the problem. She's created an artificial fictional scenario that females do because she meant what she said the first time. I don't want nobody telling me what to do. This type of out of control immaturity is the source of the problem, source of the disease, should we say. Now, in case you weren't aware, on the screen right now, I'm showing you all, if you all know I did my program that everybody loved here about why black women will work till you die. Ma'am, what you said is counter to all the evidence and statistics of the last 70 years. There's nothing you said that falls in line with that. First of all, women who get married live much better lives and much more financially secure than women who don't. Even a woman who has a man in a long-term relationship, married or not, is going to do much better financially than a female by herself. When they are by themselves, it ain't even close. The average black man spanks the average black female. When we talk about retirement account holders, the average black female is doing slightly less than black men. But when you take a look at investments, Not retirement account holders, but investments. It's not even close. It isn't even close. The average black man is investing a lot more into his retirement and his future than the average black female is, and it ain't even close. So you're claiming that these females are going to go off and go take a bunch of responsibility on themselves and see about their futures, but that's literally a lie. That's not what they're doing. That's what you're saying, but in reality, in practice, that's not what they're doing. When women are left to their own devices, they spend their money on what they want, and then they beg for what they need. The only women who don't end up in that position are the females who stay with a man, because a man is going to be disciplined. And yes, he's going to tell you not to spend yourself into bankruptcy. Yeah, you might want to go ahead and pay for handbags you can't afford. A man is going to tell you not to do that. And then when you said, we're talking about, you can fall back on a job. Did you all hear she said that? You can fall back. You can have, it's better to have a job to fall back on. Do you all hear that? She's literally sitting here with giving full faith and credit to the European economic system. Full faith and credit. Understand, she trusts her job more than a man. She trusts the European government more than a man. She's put her whole faith in them. And then you wonder why it is she would sit here and say, why do you think I have a boring life? Because no one who operates under this level of dense delusion could possibly have anything worth stimulating someone going on. Which is what you said. When I have a chance, I go exploring places. Where do you go exploring, Monique?
So
give me the last two places you went, quote unquote, exploring.
So I've been to Ireland and Ireland and Canada.
Okay, where at in Canada?
Toronto.
How long did you stay in Toronto?
2 weeks.
And who are you with in Toronto for 2 weeks?
My aunt.
How old is your aunt?
61.
Yeah. So let me get this straight. You are literally telling all of us that you had a much more exciting time in Toronto for 14 days with your 61-year-old auntie than you would with a 30-year-old man.
To be honest, no, but...
Yeah, now she wants to back down from it because she now has had a moment to think it over and realizes, oh, hell, this tells a person much more about me than it does about the men that I'm trying to criticize. Yeah, she's 30 years old, went on a 2-week trip to Canada, and the only person who was willing to go with her was her 61-year-old aunt. And furthermore, she's telling you, by the way, she would be much better company.
No, but she lives there. So
okay, ma'am, you are in London. You should have had no shortage of males to be able to take with you.
What if I never decided that I wanted? So I'm 30, yeah, but I've only introduced like one meal to my family.
Okay, but here's the problem. Take a look at your hostile attitude toward men. You have an attitude of absolute hostility and contempt. You think that a 21-year-old male can see your get down. You think that fellas 30 years old and older can't see the absolute overflowing amount of hostility toward men you have? You've got utter contempt for men. You have no respect for a man whatsoever. None. And are you really deluding yourself into thinking that men can't see this? And
How does a man
you want a
see
man
if
to
a
be
woman has
trapped.
hostility
You
towards
want a
them?
man to be trapped in a hotel room with this for 14 days.
No. Please explain to me. How does a man know if a woman has hostility towards him?
Because when your life, okay, let me try this again, ladies. Your life revolves around your job, your houseplants, your kids. There ain't no place for him to plug in. Let's try this a different way. If you were dealing with a dude who was sitting up here telling you that he spends all of his time playing video games and watching anime, what would you think? What would you say? Forget what you would think. What would you say? You say, oh, he doesn't have any room for a woman. It's really, and especially if he's sitting up here telling you, well, you know, my video games are a lot more fulfilling. They're more fulfilling than a woman. You know, you can fall back on that. You know, like the dudes like the young men in Japan are doing now. If a man said the exact same thing about his job versus a woman, or his video games versus a woman, what would you say about that?
Well, so first thing I would say is that what's this person's mindset? So that's the first thing I would try to understand.
Right, but my point is, understand, when a woman comes in the door, we've already had decades of this. When a woman is biologically supposed to be attuning herself to a man. That is your purpose for being. Those reproductive organs you have in there aren't just for show and display. That's your purpose for being. A woman is biologically engineered to nurture. If she's lost the ability to do that, she has lost her usefulness as a woman. That's it. You've lost it. And you all are trying to act as if you got some third party function because, well, I can go work at a nice air conditioned building because you damn sure aren't going to do manual labor outdoors. And you all say that that's going to be an equivalent. And no, it's not. You are useless to a man when you walk in the door, and the only thing we see is how great an employee you are. Because where you're screwed up at is that you think the things that make you valuable to an employer should make you valuable to a man, and they don't. And when we see that all you're really about is your job, we've already seen too many of them. You grow up with it. You see it on TV. You had teachers doing it. You got family members. When we see the warning signs, that's it. She's not attuned to a man. She's attuned to a job. So what you're going to come across is non-feminine. You're going to come across as non-nurturing. You're going to come across as, let me see what I can get. You're going to come across as demanding, short, shrill. And all of those together add up to contempt. A man can see she's not even interested in building her life around the man. She's here to just say, okay, let me see where you can plug into what I'm doing. And by the way, if another example here is, even if a man wanted to go with you, you'd be telling him when the dates would be. He wouldn't be telling you, you'd be telling him. Once again, there's all kinds of signs of contempt. And how you do one thing is how you do all things.
But the question I want to ask though, so for a woman, so the main thing that what I think women look for in a relationship is that you want to find somebody that you're comfortable enough to trust with your finance, your life, and whatever else. So if it is that if you're based on what you're always saying that the average man is struggling, if you're a woman, you wouldn't be wanting to trust the average man that's struggling with your life and everything else, and not thinking that, okay, I need to have a safety net. So for me personally, I don't have a problem submitting to a man, but the thing that as what you said, explain as being content towards a man, which I don't think I do, but I just want to be in that state where I can feel, okay, I can be 100% comfortable to trust this man with decision makings in regards to my life and not feel sorry for myself in the long run.
Okay, let me find out.
Like, once I know that,
let me find out something here. What kind of car do you drive, Monique?
Well, at the moment I'm not driving.
Okay. your mom and your dad, what do they do for a living, or what did they do for a living?
So my dad used to be a farmer, and my mom worked in healthcare.
Okay, so let me get this straight. What type of man is it that you think the 30-year-old daughter of a farmer and a nurse from Jamaica, what type of man are you expecting to have, Monique?
So I'm expecting someone that is financially stable, and somebody that is somebody that's educated, and also someone that is able to provide for his family.
Okay, let's put a dollar. No, let's put a dollar amount on that. How much did you make last year, Monique? And you can give it to me in pounds. That's fine.
42,000 pounds.
Okay, last year you're saying you made 32,000 pounds.
No, 42,000 pounds.
Okay, you made 42,000 pounds last year.
Yes.
Okay. That equates to about $55,000. So for those wondering about the conversion rate, I'm showing that converts to about $55,000. So Monique makes median income for the United States. Now, the man that you're looking for who's not struggling, how much are you requiring him to make? First, so that you feel satisfied and safe and secure.
At least 2/3 of. So
now she's mumbling. Monique, we're short on time. Can you just give us the number?
So if I'm working 40, yeah, I would expect that person to at least be working at least 50 or 60,000 pounds.
Okay, so you're saying that
more than what I'm earning.
Okay, so you're saying that you make 42,000 pounds, and you want a man who's making 50 or 60,000.
Yeah, so he has to be earning at least 10 or 20 more than what I'm earning per year.
All right, so understand, folks. So she wants a man who makes pretty much, she said 20,000 more. So she, in US dollars, she makes 55,000. She wants a man who makes $79,000. She can make 55. He needs to make almost $80,000. The daughter of a farmer and a nurse. And I don't know if the nurse is an RN, probably not. She's the daughter of a farmer and a nurse. She takes trips to Canada with her 61-year-old auntie. She doesn't own a car.
I own a car, but my car is in Jamaica. I don't own a car in London.
Then you don't own a car. If I asked you to take me to the airport, you would say, nigga, get an Uber.
Yeah, but in London.
All right, there you go, ma'am. I don't want to hear about the tubes. I don't want to hear about that. I really don't want to hear about that. But you know what? You tried it, so I'm going to go there. What car? Because she said she didn't own a car, everybody. Remember, she said she didn't own one. I asked her, what kind of car do you drive? I don't drive a car. Okay. Now she's saying, oh, I do have one. I do own one. It's in Jamaica. All right. What kind of car do you own, Monique?
So my car in Jamaica, it was a Note. Sorry, not a Note. Underfit 2018.
Okay, ma'am, what is the make and model of the car you own? Y'all notice she's babbling now.
I own an Underfit 2018 in Jamaica because I wasn't driving it.
Oh, I couldn't understand it first. You said you drive a 2018 Honda Fit.
Yeah.
Okay. 30 years old. The daughter of a farmer and a nurse. She makes 42,000 pounds. She wants a man who makes somewhere around 60,000 pounds. She drives a Honda Fit in Jamaica and hasn't been carjacked. Remember, you all, I was a car dealer, so I know the Honda Fit well, but, okay. I'm just saying. And then and by the way, ma'am, if you want more proof that you have a boring life, you drive a Honda Fit. No offense. As I said at the beginning of the program, you chicks who are ma'am, you chicks who are going around driving these little Asian import cars, you have your ridiculous little Hondas with the fake vinyl on the dashboards. You have these Hondas, you have these Nissans, you have these Kias. Ma'am, you fit the profile of everything I said. Right down the line. And by the way, if you wanted more proof that your life is boring, she drives a Honda Fit.
I don't drive in London.
Okay, ma'am, but you bought it, okay? Of all the cars you could have bought, you bought a Honda Fit. And I'm just saying, you all, I'm not saying I necessarily believe any of this, so I don't want any of you all to be deceived. I think you all can tell over here. I'm just going along for the sake of argument because I'm running low on time. But, ma'am, you drive a Honda Fit. Case closed. So, play this program back over and over again. Eventually, it'll register here. Better yet, better idea. Give us a call back next time we're on. If you haven't joined my Patreon, you need to. You really, did I say really need to. Whole lot of ground to cover here. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Yeah. Need I say more? Need I say more? I don't need a man. I have a job because I trust these people. Okay. All right. Caller from area code 443. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay. Sounds like you're at a soccer game. Area code 443.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, if you leave that soccer stadium you're in, sure.
I apologize. Okay, so I'm listening to you guys, and I just had
What
a clear
is your name
question.
and where are you calling
Brianna.
from?
My name is Brianna. I'm from Baltimore. I'm 25. Just to give you a clear view, I don't smoke. I don't drink. I will be considered a Christian. I have a podcast. I go to school. I go to work. But my question is, I do all of those things because of the odds that were given to me, right? And I didn't have a choice. I am open to being, married and having a man and different things as such. No problem with that. Understand that, men are the leaders and different things like that. But my main question for you is, what am I supposed to do while in that wait?
Okay, well, first of all, find a place that's a little less raucous to hang out at. Where are you?
I'm at a family gathering.
Yeah.
I just got invited out to.
Yeah, there you go.
My I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry
there
for
you
the
go.
noise. I'm sorry for the noise, but I just got.
I'm having a teaching.
family
I'm having a teaching moment because you were all in the chat room and couldn't hold your water in there. So I'm having.
I could not.
Okay,
I
all
just wanted to.
right, Brianna. Calm down. Trust me. I know the baritones send them crazy, but calm down for a moment. I'm trying to have a teaching moment with you here because I want you to understand something. How you do one thing is how you do all things. Do you notice that? I want everybody listening. Do you notice that Brianna and Monique have something in common? They both are very, very tied to their families. And don't get me wrong, having good familial connections can be a good thing. However, it's a bad thing for a young single woman who is doing that in lieu of having a man. And at 25 years old, for her asking these questions, that's not so great. Now, I do understand she's in Baltimore, but she's also, depending on who's driving, 30 to 45 minutes from D.C. So what I'm saying is she's got other options, but that's not what she's utilizing. And she's asking, well, what do you do? So what I'm saying is, if you're asking that question and you've been down in the Capital District, it's because something's not on point. So let me ask you a question here. At 25 years old, are you the kind of female that a man who could take care of you is not looking, I'm sorry, a man who doesn't want to be bored would be looking for?
Necessarily, yes. I've been engaged. I've been in committed relationships.
Okay, no. We don't deal with coping mechanism phrases here. I've been engaged. In other words, you failed to get married.
Okay, cool beans. My question is, in that waiting, what to not be boring, what could I do?
Okay, they're not listening, everybody here. They're really not. Do you have...
Based off me saying I'm at a family, because I'm at a family event, you assume that I only be around family. That's not true.
Okay, you're around them now.
That's trying that.
You're around. So, ma'am, it's a random. No. That's not the point. It's the weather has just started getting warmer. It's a random Friday. You're not with a man. You're with your family. So what we do? This isn't an assumption. I'm not guessing. We plucked you out on a random Friday, and you're not with, of all the things you could have engineered, because your life is something that you engineer. Of all the things you could have engineered, you engineered to come spend time with them. So that tells us what your focus is.
Because my significant other is with a sick child. That's why.
Your significant other? Who's that?
Someone that I'm dating is with a sick child. Yes. So
okay.
My question.
Well, if you're dating somebody, why are you? If you're dating something, you're dating someone? Is everything going fine with that person, or is there something wrong?
It's not. Dating is not my boyfriend. Dating is not my husband. You can date, right?
Okay.
So my only question was, when you're not trying to be boring or anything as such, what are you supposed to do as an adult?
Dating, when she says dating,
everything that I do.
When she says dating, what she means is When she says dating, she means the layup. So don't worry, we're not gonna put you out there like that. But when she says dating, she means the layup. So, look, ma'am, all I can say is at 25, they should be taking you seriously here. And if you don't have anybody who's taking you seriously at 25, you're at the peak of your viability. And right now, if you don't have men who are taking you seriously and saying, hey, what's the long-term investment I can make into you? It is either because it's going to be for really two reasons. You're either not available, or there's an obstacle in the way that's preventing that from occurring. And being boring, having a life that he can't plug into, and that he can't take the wheel on, because you got so much stuff you're doing that's in the way, and all that stuff you're doing is really just to keep you amused and occupied. That's a boring life, is making up a bunch of stuff to get into and do to keep you occupied, because the real point is all that's to take the place of a man. That's what that's there to do. All that stuff you're trying to occupy your time with is to take the place of a man, and that stuff isn't really that important. That's why we say this is a boring life. It's just really a circle of monotony. Visit the folks one weekend, go hang out with the girls another one here, TikTok on the computer and whatnot, but is not developing or progressing because it can't. That's the when your life becomes a monotonous circle, that's boredom. There's a fine line between, quote, stability and repetition. Now, would you say that your life is more stable or more repetitive?
My life is stable.
Okay. And if you feel your life is okay, here's what I would ask you here.
No.
The men that you're dating, because you're 25 years old. Well, there's the problem is I can't gauge dudes who are laying up with you, because that's why I said before, having a fella who just swoops through to lay on top of you, that's not serious. Where's the guy who wants to invest in you? Because if the only thrill a fella's looking for is to lay on you, guess what? You've already lost the lottery.
Okay. All right, cool beans. So when
By the way,
when I say I'm Christian, that means I'm abstinent.
That's well.
So I
okay,
don't do sexual encounters.
That's the height of boredom. But all right. How's that working out for you?
What's wrong with abstinence?
I did. Okay, ma'am, I asked you a question. What you just did was very disrespectful. I'll try this again. How is that work? You said I'm a Christian and I abstain from sex. Got it. How's that working out for you?
I've had fine, in my opinion. I am not going to have sexual encounters into marriage.
Okay, how old is the fella that you're, quote, dating now?
How old is he?
You heard me the first time, ma'am.
He's 32.
Yeah, there it is. And by the way, what was his religion?
Christian as well.
Does he go to church with you?
Yes.
So you both attend the same church?
We do.
Okay. Because, I know a number of devout Christian males out there who are always wagging their fingers at other men and trying to talk about how devout they are. And you'll have females who sit here and cape for them. So I don't know. I hope he doesn't give off the same vibe that some of these other fellas have. What I will tell you is, ma'am, he's 7 years older than you are. And if he's not a virgin, what's he waiting around with you for? All I can imagine is either he's super lame, no offense. Maybe you found the perfect guy who wants to sit around and be bored as well. If you have, I suggest you hang on for dear life. But the fact that I said a boyfriend and you said dating and that's not a boyfriend, he don't really fool with you for real. So there's definitely something's wrong when you have a fella who you can't even claim as your boyfriend, but quote, we're dating. He don't really fool with you for real like that. And you know it. So y'all are just kind of hanging out, but even he's not investing in you. He's not investing emotionally. You can't even call him a boyfriend. What is this, a pen pal? Well, we just go to church and hold pinky fingers. All right, got it. And I'm not here to tell you what to do with yourself, but what I am saying is just understand, a fellow who's 7 years older than you in Baltimore, I got real questions about that. I got real questions. What does he do for a living at 32?
He works at an auto store.
Oh, now she's mumbling. Let's try to go speak up a little bit more now. Let's try it again.
I said he works at an auto store.
He works at an auto store. You mean like AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Advance?
Correct.
All right. And are you trying to have a serious relationship with this man? Yikes.
Yes.
Yikes. Now that pause told me everything. Okay. Well, ma'am, all I can tell you is I have a strong suspicion that your daily routine looks very much the same. When was the last time you took a 2-week vacation?
The last time I took a 2-week vacation was a surprise from my grandmother.
It was a surprise from your grandmother.
Correct.
Okay.
So maybe 2 years ago. Okay. 2-3 years ago.
But you don't have, at 25 years old, you don't have men saying, hey, why don't you come with me to Los Angeles, Las Vegas, blah, blah, blah.
No.
Last question. What size do you wear?
1.
You wear a size?
I'm 120 pounds.
And how tall are you at 120 pounds?
5'1".
5'1". You weigh 120 pounds at 5'1".
Yes.
But you wear a size 1.
Yes.
First of all, that would be European numbering if I don't mistake that. Usually women's numbering is in even numbers in the States. Are your people from the
Size 1
States?
exists here.
Okay, are your people from the States?
Yes. All my
Okay.
people are from the States.
Now, by the way, I didn't say there's no such thing as a size 1. I didn't say that. However, what I will tell you is 120 pounds, 5'1". That doesn't sound right. I don't know where you shop at, but that number doesn't sound right. Definitely, do you have any kids?
No.
Okay.
Kids.
Well, ma'am, I will tell you right now, if you're not serious about this guy, you might want to try something a little bit different, but I have a sneaking suspicion with the things you said, they align perfectly with what Monique said. All of this sounds the same. You all have vocations, you make a little money of your own. Yeah, but everything's going in a big circle. And in 2 years, from the age of 23 to 25, the biggest gift you've gotten was from your grandmother. There are men around you. You've got proximity to them in very large cities where you are, and no contact is being made. And with you, that's the only time you had 2 weeks to spend. You should have been spending some time with somebody between now and then. So that's what's missing. And for this to go on for 2 years, yes, ma'am, that's the epitome of a boring life. By the way, what kind of car do you drive?
I drive a Nissan
What model?
Sentra.
May I ask the year?
2015.
Very respectable, gets very good gas mileage.
Yes.
Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
I am.
Okay. If you're not a member of my patron, you're probably going to want to join. You and I have a lot to talk about.
Okay.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. No, I'm not here to mock anybody or anybody else. What I'm saying is you need to take a real world look at this. It's time for you to sit down and actually hear somebody speak to you, and then hear yourself answering these things and hear some of the things you're saying and ask yourself, whoa, is this really as great as I'm telling myself? By the way, there is a caller on the line. I don't know if you're calling from a blocked number or whatever, but we're not going to answer your call. So I'm getting ready to drop your call. I don't know if you're out of country or if you're calling from a private number. If it's either of those two things, you need to unblock it. Let me get caller from area code 972. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, my name is Aurelia. I am calling from Atlanta, but I am from Dallas, Texas.
Okay, Aurelia, you're from Atlanta, and what's on your mind?
What's on my mind? Well, I am a I'm kind of successful. I'm a little bit above average, and I enjoy listening to your podcast. I don't want to get on here and say, oh my God, I disagree with everything you say. But one thing that sticks out tonight is how we're talking about the material things, talking about the car. I will say I am in the military, and most of my duty stations, I have been one of the few blacks there. And what I've seen from a lot of my white counterparts that come from more wealth is a lack of paying attention to material things and focusing on things that are more important. I've seen my girlfriend go from E4, E5, E6, E7, having the same car that she had in high school, to having parents that just sold $1 million lake home, and her still having that same car, which tells me us in our community, our values are a little bit skewed, is what I want to say. I don't want to say messed up, but I don't necessarily agree that your car determines your status in life.
Okay, I did not say, first of all, ma'am, I never said that. So what you're saying is a concocted fabrication. I never said your car determines your status or station in life. I never said that. So you're arguing with yourself right now. You're not arguing against anything I said. I never said that. Now, what did I say?
Oh, okay.
What did I say about the car? Because you claim you heard that, but then you go off and go make some wild, outlandish statement that I didn't make. Now, I did say something specifically, but that wasn't what I said.
Okay, yeah, sometimes when we're in the chat, there's...
No, ma'am, I'm hosting the program. The only thing you have to do in the chat is hear through your ears. And you heard what I said, but what you're doing is you're trying to invalidate it, and you can't invalidate it, so you made up something that I didn't say because you can invalidate that, but you can't invalidate what I actually said. You can only invalidate the distortion that you made up in your head.
So what exactly did you say about the car?
Okay, now why would I trust you? Now, okay, here's the problem. Why would I trust you to repeat it if you've already demonstrated that you're listening in bad faith? Because if you listened the first time, you would have already heard it. So you want me to do it again, but I'm already feeling that you're just listening in bad faith. You're not actually listening to learn anything.
No, Jason, I don't want to argue or anything like that or appear disrespectful. I'm not listening in bad faith. Sometimes our perceptions are different based on our life experiences and different things like that. If you go back and tell me again, and I don't want to beg you to tell me again, but that was what I heard at that moment. Now we're on the line. I'm listening. So if you said something different, I'm definitely open to learning. I'm not 100% for everything that you say. I'm not against everything that you say. I'm always willing to listen and grow.
Okay, I want everyone to listen to what I have to say here again. Open your ears and listen very carefully. There are hallmarks that dictate what type of life a person lives. Elon Musk is an eminently wealthy man. He ain't rich, he's wealthy. And his life is an absolute bore by his own admission. It's basically the same thing. Now, he might do it in a different place, but it's basically the same thing. Bill Gates, his life is repetition, and it has been for 40 plus years. Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates was his role model. He has now become Bill Gates, complete with dress code, daily routine, and everything else. So your income isn't what determines if you're boring. That isn't what determines it. Okay. Now, income can help you to be less boring, but it depends on the person. Now, case in point, a car can be something that transports you from one place to another. It absolutely can be. However, as I have explained to you all many times before, once you reach a certain point, if you have the ability to purchase the car that you want, then that is like purchasing the shoes you want, or in your case, the dress you want. It's an extension of your personality. So when I hear a young lady tell me that she drives a 2018 Honda Fit, that's not really an old car. So of all the cars she had the option of getting, she chose, keyword, chose that one. She had options of other cars that probably would have cost less, but she chose that one. Well, obviously it's in keeping with her personality. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing for her personality, but it does tell us about her personality, not her station in life, but it does certainly tell us about her personality. She drives an unremarkable car that its only real attribute is its fuel efficiency. If she were in a wreck, it would be totaled. If she needed to tow another vehicle, she couldn't move it. When she needs to merge into traffic on the freeway, she would be better off waving a 45 out the window to get people to move. The car is otherwise utterly unremarkable, which is what that type of car is. The young lady who just got off the phone, 2015 Nissan Sentra, perfectly sensible car, perfectly practical. Once again, its only real attribute is fuel efficiency. That is it. She also had options of other vehicles. She chose that one. That tells us about her personality. And as far as money, the chick in the UK claims she's making 40,000 pounds a year, which equates to 55,000 US dollars. Yeah, she could buy something other than a Fit. She sure could. She could buy something else. She's taking trips to Canada. She chose that car. And that car fits the rest of her life. There's the problem now. Taken by itself, it doesn't mean anything other than she wanted a car. Taken independently, separated from anything else, it doesn't mean anything. What you then start to look for is, okay, do I see a pattern? So then you take a look at her attitude toward work. She's very studious about that. And, I need to be there at work. And that's what I'm counting on. That's what I'm looking for. And the job is going to hold me down. Okay. And then you take a look at her attitude about money. I don't want nobody telling me what to do. I don't want to be controlled. Well, I can rack up debt. I don't want a man telling me not to get into debt. Well, yeah, a woman who doesn't really discipline her finances is going to find herself in a Honda Fit. She sure will.
Right.
Absolutely. And what that also tells us is that if things are not progressing, then I'm going to expect to be seeing you drive that Honda Fit in 4 or 5 more years. Probably a decade. If things are not progressing, I'll expect to see that. Now, as far as your friends in the military are concerned, now I can't really speak about them because I would have to analyze a lot more information to be able to know what's going on there. But I will say one thing. You mentioned that her family, what was that you said about her family?
I was just saying that she comes from a pretty wealthy family, and
right.
They just sold.
Okay, slow down. Okay, slow down. She comes from a pretty wealthy family. What do you define as wealth?
What I define as wealth is somebody that a person that doesn't necessarily have to work for every dollar that's coming in. A person that has their money working for them. Just like I said, they have assets that can be sold. Both of the parents are retired. Just pretty much being able to live off of your money and not depending on anybody to necessarily give you money. They don't work. They don't do anything. They have assets. They have money, making money for them, and they don't work. That's what I consider wealth.
Folks, she doesn't have a definition of wealth. Now, she uses the term like a Tom Cruise in an action movie with 2 guns in his hands, but she doesn't actually have a definition. Now, what she's trying to say, but she keeps contradicting herself. What she's trying to say is a person who has so much money that they are able to provide for all their material needs and their material wants without depleting the principle. Now, that's what she's trying to say. A person who can satisfy all their material needs. Okay, ma'am. Now, you hear my voice talking. That wasn't very ladylike. Okay. A person who can satisfy all of their material needs and their material wants from the money that they have without depleting the principle. Now, that is wealth, because wealth, by definition, is generational. Now, when you start using qualifiers and modifiers such as sometimes, approximately, doesn't have to work for every single dollar. Ma'am, wealthy people don't have to work at all. It's not about don't have to work for every single dollar. Wealthy people don't have to work, period. The Vanderbilts, the Kennedys, the Bilderbergs, the Rothschilds, that's wealth. Now, I seriously doubt that you were in the military with a child from a wealthy family. I think compared to your definition of where you grew up and the income levels of people where you grew up, compared to y'all, she's balling out. Their folks are balling out of control. By definition, you said they sold a house for $1 million. Ma'am, wealthy people don't have anything that just costs $1 million. Certainly not a house. That's not wealth. $1 million? Are you kidding me? You couldn't even retire if you had $1 million. You yourself could not retire with $1 million in the bank. Unless you were going to live less than a decade. But according to you, their ability to sell a property for $1 million equates to wealth. No, certainly equates to affluent. And by the way, just out of curiosity, what state did they sell this property in?
This was in Georgia.
Okay. Where about in Georgia?
I'm not 100%. Like I said, it was a lake house. I know their primary residence is in Decatur, Georgia. I know you know what that is, but
okay.
The lake house.
Well, maybe they're in Jekyll. I don't know. Maybe they're in Jekyll Island or something like that. I'm not sure. But the real point is $1 million. What you gonna do with $1 million? Now, here's the other problem. Even if every other assumption that you made was absolutely accurate, even if all your other assumptions were completely accurate, that's her family's money, not hers. Warren Buffett isn't giving access to one of his granddaughters, I think it is. She can't have any of it. So just because her family's got money, you're making the assumption that she's got access to it. And I'm just curious, how did you make the leap that her family selling a property for $1 million equates to she now has $1 million of extra net worth?
Well, I wasn't necessarily equating it. And I was saying that was just one of the assets that they sold. Once again, her family, her parents do not work. But in my opinion, earlier, you just said that wealth is generational. So how I look at that is that these are her parents. They're older. So whenever they shall perish, these are going to be things that she inherits. So yes, she doesn't have it now. I mean, she's doing well in the military. Just as me.
That depends. Slow down. That depends. Is she an only child?
It's two. It's her and her brother.
Okay. So, without having more information there, they're going to be subject to inheritance taxes because these are properties.
Right.
They'll be subject to inheritance taxes, so a lot of that's going to go away. It's going to be split between the two of them, and she has children.
Not of her own.
She's married. She's married. She has children. Okay, she has children now, ma'am.
Okay.
She has them now. So this is what I'm saying. Yeah, for those of you who don't understand, there's a lot of uncertainty going on in those finances right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. The other thing is she's in the military. Where the hell is she going? Maybe she doesn't need that. I don't know. Maybe she's a strong 4. I don't see what she looks like. She might not rate anything better than that 15-year-old car she's driving. I don't know. I don't know about her husband. She might not really be incentivizing him to work very much harder to get her out of that. And if she already comes from a family whose money is straight already, not necessarily wealthy, but their money is straight, there might not be a lot of incentive to do so. So you're right. But once again, that tells you about her life. That tells you about her life too. If her life is surrounded by the military, and let's be very, very clear, we all know the record about military marriages now, don't we?
Yes.
So before you go running up the banner and waving the flag about, well, she's in the military and this, that, and the other. I'm like, yeah, you said she's in the military. So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's not necessarily enthused to do a bunch of investing in her. I wouldn't be surprised because I don't know what's happening at that home.
They're both in business.
Okay, that makes it worse. And you already know that. That makes it even worse. Third time, that makes it even worse. But you already know this. Both of them being in the military. Now, we all know, now, by the way, you said E6, so that's the Army?
No, we're actually in the Coast Guard.
Okay. Coast Guard would be a little bit better, except you're in the Coast Guard. And we all know how the military doesn't have anything to do with, isn't a hotbed for infidelity. We already know that now, don't we?
Correct.
Now, you can see the sarcasm dripping off of me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm being sarcastic here. So what I'm saying is, ma'am, military people are infamous for boring lives. It doesn't matter what branch of the military. Military people are infamous for boring lives. Go down to Fort Hood, Texas. I challenge, first of all, it really doesn't matter, but go to a bona fide military town like Fort Hood, Texas, where they've got miles and miles of military housing or whole housing divisions that are basically bought up by all the military people. It is a sad sight. A bunch of otherwise able-bodied people all claiming disability, which, by the way, we need to get that hole plugged up. But in any case, a bunch of able-bodied people claiming disability. Literally, it was, I'm going to be totally honest with what I'm going to say right now. It was somewhat akin to it was almost akin to being at a sanitarium, because you would see them driving around. They had these nice cars, these nice houses. 8 o'clock in the morning, folks, dudes, grown men driving around with the music playing. They go up the block, they go around the block, they come back, up the block, round the block, come back, hour after hour. Anybody who's been down to Fort Hood, Texas, you know I'm telling the truth. And Fort Hood is just one. Fort Hood is just one.
Jason, can I say something?
By the way, that's in the U.S. We don't even want to talk about places like Okinawa, Hawaii, Germany. We don't even want to talk about the folks who are overseas. They will tell you it's the same damn thing. The folks who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, it's the same thing. It is an endless parade of monotony day after day after day. So you've actually reinforced my point 3 or 4 times fold.
Yeah, I agree and disagree about the military being a boring life. I think it does depend on which branch. You spoke about the Army, and because they have to train and go out into the field, a lot of their units are in deserted places, but the Coast Guard is actually pretty good with its duty stations because we're on the coast. I'm a recruiter, so I'm in Atlanta. I've been in Oklahoma City. I've been in Philadelphia.
Okay, then you are out of touch. Then you're out of touch.
Yeah, I'm out of touch with the Army. I'm out of touch with the Army.
No. You're out of touch with the military experience, because recruiters are different than everybody else. So before you attempt to equate your job title and what you do to everybody else, let's just be honest now. What you do is far, far different. You've got far more freedom and mobility and creativity, which most of you actually misuse and abuse to sit up here and lie to get little high schoolers to sign up for the military. But I digress. But in any case, recruiters actually are different than everybody else. But you already know that. Your job is actually far different. You are in no way a guard at a post. You are in no way a field tech. You are in no way a mechanic. You are in no way a system operator. You're in no way doing anything like what they do. You're not even a pilot. Recruiters are a completely different animal from everybody else. Y'all got nice little cars you can drive. You get to go long distances. They send you from one place to another. So you actually get to travel a lot more than other people. They got to stay in one place for 2 or 3 years. That's never your issue. So in reality, your experience is far different than the rest of the military. So we can't really compare your situation. The other folks, no, ma'am. It's boredom to tears, which is really where a lot of this other stuff comes from. Alcohol abuse, cheating, so on and so forth. Is almost like prison, where they're doing all this stuff to break the monotony. And I can understand wanting to break the monotony. Now, cheating on your husband is probably not the smartest way to do it, but I can understand how we get there. But it's a very monotonous life. And furthermore, they want it to be. Mm-hmm. When you've been in a war zone and folk been shooting at you, when you get back to the States, it's like, oh, nothing else loud, please. Which I can understand.
Yep.
But by definition, you're breeding an environment of constant monotony and repetition, which is what it is. So, and here's the other thing. You're making the point that, well, I mean, her car is not the greatest thing, but take a look at everything else. Even if all those things were equal, what that really tells you then is that they've got so much else going on that they're not even worried about their car. They've got other stuff. They got other stuff. So even if all that were true, yeah, they're stimulating themselves in other ways.
Yeah.
Now, let me find out one more thing here. How old are you?
I am 34.
Okay. Do you have any children?
No children.
34. No kids. Oh boy, I'm worried. Are you married?
Not married, just in a committed relationship.
How long you been in this committed relationship?
1 year.
Is he black?
No.
How did you meet him?
We went to high school together.
Oh, hell. How many kids does he have?
He doesn't have any kids either.
None he's claiming. What city?
No, he don't have any kids.
What city and state did you go to high school in?
I went to Lancaster High School, which is in Lancaster, Texas.
Okay.
About
Lancaster.
south of Dallas.
Yes, man. I used to live in Dallas. Lancaster, though, is a little out of the way, though. So that's we don't really consider that to be part of the Metroplex per se. However, what I will say is that kind of tells me about the lady on the phone, though, doesn't it? Don't worry. I'm not going to run you through the ringer. Don't get scared. But you know my eyebrow done gone up now, right? I'm from Lancaster, Texas. Oh boy, strike one. I was dating this dude in high school. Strike two. I'm in the military. Strike three.
Damn.
So just in case, so far, oh no, trust me, y'all. He's far from she's from Lancaster. She's a black person from Lancaster. This dude's far from the only one. There's about 3 or 4 more bones in that skeleton closet. About 3 or 4 more. Don't worry. This is the business. We are not going to penalize you for it here. But the reason why I say that is because your life is boring. Now, you have a job. Now, here's the real problem. Women tend to think, well, if my job doesn't make me want to jump out of a window, setting myself on fire and jump out of a window, then my life's not boring. But no, that's not the case either, though. That's not the case either. Like, you've known him since you were in high school, right?
Yeah, I've known him since high school.
How did you end up circling back to him 16 years later?
We just ended up chatting on Facebook.
Okay. There is none, nada. Okay. There is none, nada, zero, nay, none. No way that you just ran into him on Facebook. You two have talked to each other since you left high school.
No, we hadn't talked since high school, and he made a post, and we were talking about that post on Facebook.
Are you telling me, slow down. Are you telling me that you have not spoken to this man since you two walked across the stage and got your high school diplomas? You both never exchanged a word with each other from that day to the last year.
Correct. Well, yeah. Before we started dating a year ago, we hadn't talked to each other in 15 years. Correct. Correct, because I moved right after.
I'm going to call bull jive on the play. I'm just going to tell y'all right now. Flag, bull jive on the play. Yeah, no.
I mean, that doesn't make sense. This was a guy, I went to high school with him. I knew him from high school. We were very familiar with each other. Not only did we go to high school together, we lived in the same community since from 6th grade is when he moved there, and I was there since kindergarten. I knew him. We didn't talk. We didn't date. Lancaster is a primarily black area. I mean, it wasn't a lot of white people at my school. So growing up, he was not somebody that I would be interested in, talk to. He was really cool. So from graduation all the way up to a year ago, I did not have any communication with him, and I really didn't talk to him a lot in high school. We were just acquaintances. I knew him. We grew up in the same community. I did not talk to him for all of my years in college, nothing like that, until 1 year ago when we reconnected through Facebook.
Okay. For those of you who don't know about those areas and whatnot, when you're talking about, places around DeSoto and all that, and DeSoto is really one of the last black enclaves, but to be totally honest with you there, when you drive by the high schools there, you can see that ain't all as cracked up to be anymore either. And even though it's been a while since I've been able to touch the tea leaves in those areas, the problem is Lancaster has always been a place where folks, non-black people, don't have a problem venturing to. Now, Lancaster has never had that problem. Not anything like what I would 25 years ago, Oak Cliff, University, DeSoto. Lancaster has never really been like that. Lancaster has always availed itself to have that. So that's why I'm saying in your case, no, I'm not the least bit surprised at all. Lancaster's not really hardcore like that. You are my proof. I don't have to say nothing else. You're my proof. I don't have to anybody wondering, by the way, she's my proof. She's sitting right here. Oh, he was right there. I was there in kindergarten. He was there. Okay, yeah, I know you were. I know. And you're much younger than me. So yeah, I know what's going on. I sure do. And what I'm saying is, he wasn't the only one. Not gonna put the lady's business out there. He wasn't the only one. Okay, great, fine. Here's the real problem. What does this gentleman do for a living?
He works at FedEx. He's like a maintenance technician at FedEx.
Okay, and you've been in a serious committed relationship with him for a year.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure I got the right one. I just need to make sure I got the right picture.
Yes.
So for anybody who's wondering, well, why is Jason pausing for a moment? I just need to get the right picture up. Just need to get the right one. Sister, how do we end up here? Come talk to me. How do we end up here?
Yes.
What
I don't know. What do you mean?
What did the brother before this guy do? How do we end up here?
Nothing. The brothers before him did absolutely nothing. And I think that was the problem.
Okay, they did absolutely nothing. What does that mean?
I mean, it just means that personality. I'm real big on connecting with someone that has a similar personality to mine. As far as success, I think I've always talked to guys that made about what I make or more, and that's the same thing with my current boyfriend. I think it was just compatibility. That's what I'll say. Compatibility. There was no compatibility.
You were the one. Okay, the guy you were with before, the FedEx driver here, FedEx mechanic. And by the way, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a FedEx mechanic, FedEx driver, anything else. Absolutely perfectly fine. No problem with that. I don't take issue with it whatsoever. There's another factor we're talking about tonight. We're not talking about money tonight. We're talking about lifestyle here. The fella you were with before him, was he black?
Yes.
And how long were you with him?
I was with him for a little under 2 years.
Okay. And the relationship before that, how long were you with him?
The relationship, all of my relationships have been about a year and a half. The guy before that was in college. We were in college together, so I would say I was with him for about a year and a half.
Okay, something there is wrong. You said you're 34.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not. When you say who were you with, I'm not necessarily counting,
Okay.
guys that I may have dated for 6 to 8 months. I'm only counting,
Understand something, folks. Here, this is how female logic works. I don't want to count all the dudes now. I don't count everybody I slept with, everybody I dated. I don't want to count those. I only want to count the ones that have the resemblance of a real relationship, with the one night stands, the jump offs, the fly throughs, the Spirit Airlines weekend flued out. We're not counting any of those. I'm only counting the ones I want to count. I'm not counting anything that I don't think serves me. So this becomes very tricky math. Ma'am, here's my issue here, okay? In all honesty, without us getting off into the woods, you're a grown woman, but you do understand what this really yells to people is body count.
Say that last part again.
What this really says to people is body count. And I'm not talking about the morgue. And I'm not talking about the morgue.
Right. That's okay. I don't mind being judged. That's okay. We can say body count. I mean, that's no concern of mine.
Well,
I'm doing good over here.
I mean, okay, but there's the point I'm making here. You realize at the beginning of the program, one of the things I mentioned was that one of the refuges of chronically bored women whose lives, the boredom and whatnot, the most exciting thing they got going on is, well, there's a dude who'll lay on me. And what I'm saying is that year after year of that is the definition, no shade, but that is the definition of a boring life. Like when you cycle from one man to another. Notice I didn't say relationship. When you cycle from one man to another, to another, to another, to another, literally, like I say, you've been out of high school for 16 years. I mean, we're venturing into porn star numbers at this point. We're venturing into porn star numbers. I mean, I'm not going to quantify it here, babe, but I'm just saying, if we got a carton of eggs, I could paint faces. And what I'm just saying here is that if you take a look at this over a period of time, here's the reason why. When you I said at the beginning of the program, when you have a bunch of monotony and repetition, you are going to attempt to resort to simple little things because you don't have a bunch of time. You don't have a bunch of leeway. You don't have a bunch of resources or creativity. So what females do is they spend money and have sex. That's the way that females break monotony: shopping and sex. Here's the problem. If you keep shopping, you're going to run out of money. And if you keep having sex with people, you're going to run out of men looking to make a serious commitment. In which case, now you're going to be trapped in a cycle. Okay. So you're going to be trapped in the cycle of debt, or you're going to be trapped in the cycle of men swapping you out. Because at the end of the day, just like a woman is sitting there saying to herself, is this man the best I can do? Well, guess what? Men are also looking at the woman saying, is this woman the best I can do? Especially once y'all hit past the age of 25.
Yeah, and I like how you hit that on the head. What I will say is sometimes the delivery of it is not always the best, and it can sound harsh for women that have maybe been a little promiscuous in the past. But I do agree with everything that you said, just based on how I gave my history and how I spoke about my dating. If I'm honest, I'm not going to say I just slept around with anybody, but if I'm honest, I did more than I should have in my singleness. And I think that's a good point that you made to the single women on the line that are willing to be honest with themselves. But I just wish that it could be delivered in a more efficient, a little bit more positive way, so that people that are single, that maybe are still being promiscuous or bored or spending all of their money or sleeping around, they can receive it better, because we need this.
Well, here's the problem.
I agree with
here's the problem with that. If that actually worked, there were other people who said the same thing years before I came along. So if you all were receptive to a softer delivery, whatever in the hell that is, because I would defy you to tell me, okay, what exactly, how would it need to be stated so that you would say, oh, well, I would have listened the first time if it had been said by like XYZ. How exactly would you have liked it to have been stated?
How would I like it? Black woman, you are valuable. You are needed. You are beautiful. You don't have to sleep around to get a man. Different things like that. I don't think it's really difficult to, bring it down so that it is appeasing to the woman that needs it the most.
Okay, do you realize nothing you just said addressed female promiscuity? Nothing at all. You said, well, if you just praise me okay, slow down. What you just said is, well, can't you just praise me for unearned or unearned benefits and unnamed accomplishments? We're praising you for what? Black woman, you are beautiful. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Because we are valuable.
But what if you're not? Ma'am, if you have a body count in the dozens, that's not beautiful. And any person, forget a man, any person who tells you that is, they're lying to you. That's not beautiful. That's ugly as hell.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most attractive thing, but what I will say, from being around lots of women and seeing different women that pretend that they don't do certain things, I guarantee you that out of the millions or thousands or however many women are on this chat, I want you to type in how many people you've had sex with if you're on the chat. That's what I want to see, because a lot of women are not honest. I'm not trying to say that it's, beautiful. I'm not trying to say that it's the best, but we come from a loving God, and ultimately he has mercy and grace for us. So at the end of the day, we are still beautiful. We are still valuable, even if we have made some mistakes in the past. And I'm
okay, that's a lie.
Sleeping around.
Okay, here's the problem. Here's the problem. What you're saying is not true. Now, that's a wonderful little fantasy you want to sell yourself, and if a person wants to lie to themselves the rest of their days, okay. What you're saying is a wonderful little fantasy, but it's not true. It's a lie. Everybody doesn't have value. Everybody doesn't. There are some people and some women who, because of their decisions they've made, they have completely liquidated their value. They trashed it. They destroyed it. So you want me to sit up here and lie to them and tell them they have something that they don't. This is how females engineer destroying themselves. Don't tell me the truth. Give me somebody in here who's going to come lie to me and tell me that I still have options that I don't have. Ma'am, when you run your body count up into the dozens, just understand you're done. You're done. You're gonna whatever type of man you were telling yourself you were gonna get. That's a fallacy. And when you sit up here and say the way to correct women, slow down. When you sit up here and say the way to correct female bad behavior is tell them they is beautiful and they is wonderful and they is lovely and they is gorgeous, and you have that, what the hell? None of that addressed anything you said. So you're just like, if women are doing the right thing, praise them, and if they're doing the wrong thing, praise them some more. And if they're completely stupid, screwed up, and destroying the society around them, then you need to triple praise them. What the hell? So the answer and the solution to everything is give women heap praises upon their heads no matter what. Now, do you all know who they don't say that about? They don't say that about black men. Now, they don't say that black men should get praise heaped on. If a black man messes up, it's about nigga get up and you need to do better and this, that, and the other. Divest. when it's black men. The solution isn't, well, just tell him how great and wonderful he is. Because by your definition, you just sat here on the phone and said that the black men that you dated before this white dude, oh, they wasn't trying hard enough. But you didn't say, I sat there and told them you are beautiful and handsome, you are a king, you are wonderful. That didn't happen. I noticed that when you had black men in your care and you needed to correct behaviors you weren't happy with, your solution wasn't to tell them you are wonderful and great and valuable. And I noticed that wasn't your solution, not for the men.
Well, I thought when I spoke about my ex that I just said it was compatibility. I don't have problems. Like I said, I've always dated that made the same amount of money as me. I said that or more, which my ex made a good amount of money. He had a great career. And I also said that it was compatibility with the personality. It was nothing negative about that black man that I dated. It's still nothing negative about him.
Okay, but you don't leave somebody who doesn't have any negatives, ma'am.
Yeah, we were not compatible.
Okay, then that's a negative. Then that's the negative. Okay, then what was it you were not compatible about, ma'am? You don't leave somebody who doesn't have deficiencies. You can't say there were no deficiencies, but I couldn't stay with him any longer. I left because of the deficiencies, but there were no deficiencies. There were deficiencies,
ma'am. It's the compatibility. In my opinion, he seemed socially awkward, which was very weird for me. So it was like he was attractive physically. He had a good job, everything like that. But it was like his personality was not compatible. And I thought he was socially awkward and maybe suffers from Asperger's, if I'm honest. It was that socially awkwardness that I could not deal with. So somebody else can probably deal with it, but
do you notice that that's a pattern, though? Because you're the one.
I don't think that.
You're the one picking all these men, and you keep saying what's wrong with all of them. But you're the coach of the team. You're the one choosing them.
Okay.
So
I can accept that.
Okay, so what a person would have to believe at this point is that everybody else is screwed. All these men around the world are screwed up. And you're perfectly fine. You're perfectly fine, and just all these men are just throwed the hell off. It isn't that you're bad at selecting, or just maybe this is the best you can do. Because let me ask you about the dude you're talking to. The dude you're talking to here now, you consider yourself to be more compatible with him?
Yes.
Okay, do you consider yourself to be perfectly compatible with him?
Perfect. But I don't know. When you say perfect, I need to know exactly what you mean.
Do you have any deficiency, those compatibility issues that you were complaining about before? Are there any of those there now?
No.
So in other words, if I talk to this guy, he's going to be a great social butterfly.
Yes.
Ma'am, too, are you sure that he's just this great social butterfly? Or maybe the answer is he's white, so you give him more leeway because he's white.
No, he's social. But what I also wanted to say about the people that I've dated in the past, I'm always going to take ownership for the men that I selected. And I think a lot of the men that I've selected in the past was out of loneliness and desperation and me just talking to people that I really wasn't into in general, just because I wanted to have somebody. So once again, it's not that all of the guys were terrible. I think it just came down to me dealing with people that I shouldn't have been dealing with in the first place. As far as my boyfriend now, he's definitely sociable. It doesn't have anything to do with him being white. He's just my type of guy. He's sociable. He's fun. He's loving. He's caring. He communicates. He's just what I like.
Okay. You've had a year of experience with him. And you so far haven't had anything negative to say. You're both single with no children. You're both nearly the same age. So now Now, what?
No, I don't have anything else. I mean,
But so you don't have any future intentions with him either, or has he expressed the desire of any future intentions with you?
yeah, I mean, we've been talking about, marriage and trying to build our life together.
Talking about.
Yeah, so we've been talking.
Talking about.
I mean, that's what we've been doing.
Interesting. Talking about. And you live where now?
I'm in Atlanta.
Okay, and is he in Atlanta also?
Nope, he's in Texas.
Yeah.
So we're working on.
There you go.
Long distance. We're long distance, so that has its set of challenges. But we're working on, moving together when I transfer. So that's the plan, and getting married and stuff.
Call me back in 6 months. I'd like to hear how things are going.
Yes, I will.
I'll be waiting. Thank you very much for giving us a call. 443-816 and everybody else, I know y'all are on the line here. Just hang tight. I'm going to get to you. Just hang tight. Let me get a call from area code 702. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Conrad, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Conrad from Las Vegas, and what's on your mind?
Oh, no, I got a little thing on the chat that says call, so I was like, oh, crap. So I've called. But I didn't know what they wanted me to talk about.
Not cool, but Conrad. Not cool at all.
They said call, brother. They said call.
Everybody knows why they're told to call in, Bubba. You already know why you were told to call in. This is rather cowardly, Conrad. Well, you know what you were told.
No. My last comment was when they said to call. My last comment was, because I'm not black. I'm actually Asian. And I said that I don't understand the fascination or obsession that I see within, like, this sphere of dating inside of your own race, as opposed, because I've dated every color pretty much. I mean, except maybe Eskimo, which is, so I don't understand it. And they said, hey, call.
Okay, let me find out here, Conrad. You say you're Asian. From where exactly? What ethnicity?
I am Filipino.
Okay.
Which some people say Islander, but it's Asian. Asian, Islander, depends on who you talk to.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm Filipino and German.
Okay, Filipino
and... that matters.
So you're mixed Filipino and German. Okay, that's fine. German. Dave Bautista was what? A Greek and Filipino, so that's cool. No problem there. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. Both of those particular cultures you come from are very territorial as far as dating is concerned, but you're asking us about that? I mean, it's not like they're the United Nations over there or anything, so...
No, yeah, I understand.
Okay, so with where you come from, you understand. Like that, where you come from, you understand that they're a whole lot more tribal about this than we are. But you got questions but over here somehow you got questions. I don't understand how that happened.
Well, I think you're automatically grouping me as if because I was born in the Philippines, but... Yeah,
I'm talking about the culture that you come from. You saw that your whole life. So now you're saying, I don't understand I don't understand what you all are doing over here.
10. Well, I don't understand the whole concept. I don't care if it's black people only or Asian people only, or because you see that a lot in Asian cultures also, but this is not specifically a question to black people. It's a question to people in general. Like, why do we care if you're dating exclusively in your race? Like, get over it.
Why you say why do we care? You say why do we care?
Yeah.
Because if we go to Germany or the Philippines or Asia or Russia or Australia or Europe, they care. That's why we care. Because people in power, the people who actually have power, they care about it. And they've been exercising that power. They have been exercising that power to punish and oppress us for hundreds of years now. So We've learned they're the ones who taught us to recognize those differences and distinctions to keep ourselves safe.
Well, that may be the case, that so-called people in power, the invisible hand or whatever, but the reality is you make your individual choice. I
no, you
don't care what the powers want.
You can say that, sir. You can say that you have honorary whiteness. We don't have that.
Well, what's honorary whiteness?
Sir, as an Asian person, first of all, I can show you a bunch of white men. I actually interviewed Richard Spencer. He used to date an Asian female, Spencer Cornelia, here on YouTube.
Okay.
He's a whitest of white men, and he says his preference is for Filipino women. We can go down the list. You all have honorary whiteness.
Right.
Slow down. I'm not even going to get into Hollywood, and I'm not even going to get into Adolf Hitler. I'm not even going to get into that. Asians have an honorary whiteness. They've always had that. Whether it's white supremacists or people in the suburbs, Asians have honorary white credentials. They have always had that. Since Admiral William Perry and the Black Ships, they've always had that. Black people, we don't have any honorary white card that we can pull out.
Well, I can't argue with you about that. I don't know anything about that. All I know is my life experience, bro, and I don't let racism get under my skin. Like, I've ran into racist people, but here I am.
Right, but they're not targeting.
Generation American.
But they're not targeting you either. So it's very easy to say, "I don't let it get under your skin." They ain't doing nothing to you.
I guess you could say that. I mean,
yeah, that's why it's easy for you to ignore. There's nothing to ignore.
So wait, so like, is your premise that you date within your race because that's what you're taught to do? I don't understand.
First of all,
that's what our original topic was.
No, I wasn't saying we weren't saying about dating within your race. The real thing is that in this society here, it's a good question to ask because it goes to motive. Because some people do things bad in this society where people are usually chasing benefits from the dominant society. It's good to find out where their heads are at. And if a person has a pattern and a tendency of dating out, then it's also good to check and see, is that coming from a healthy place or is it coming from an unhealthy place? Is there a indifferent motive or is there a calculating motive involved in that decision? Because in this society, especially where black people are concerned, there tends to be a bad motive.
How much of that do you think is true, meaning that black people, since that's what we're talking about here, date out because of bad motives as opposed to they're just attracted to somebody else outside of just other black people? Like, you can be attracted to black people and other, or is it exclusive? Like, are you saying that when people are not attracted to, if black people are attracted to white people, they're no longer attracted to black people? Am I making sense?
In Western society, period, and actually around the world, because white supremacy is global, it is not localized. You pay a penalty as a non-black person when you get romantically involved with a black person, because the first thing they're scared of is, what are the children going to look like? What is the next legacy? What's the next generation going to look like? So you pay a penalty for doing that. So that's why black people are penalized for trying to do that. So if you have a black person who keeps going into a situation where they keep encountering penalties, people throwing racial epithets and slurs, you're treated as less than, then we would be only sensible to ask, what's motivating you to keep doing that? Because let's be very, very clear. The situation for a black person trying to date interracially today is little different than when Jack Johnson was trying to do it. Where you don't have a problem is if you're a non-black person who comes among black people. That's not where the problem comes in. The problem comes in for a black person who ventures out. That's where the problem comes in.
Mm. Well, the black female I've dated was obviously black. She's viewed less than for dating me? Does that make me less than?
Well, let me find out about her. Where are her people from?
Where are her people from? Like America?
Yeah, well, I mean,
we were in Texas at the time.
Right, but I mean, were her people actually from America, or were like immigrants, were like from the Caribbean?
Oh no, yeah, no, they're like American, generational Americans.
Okay. Well, if they trace their lineage back
they've been here.
If they trace their lineage back to slavery, that would be one thing. If they were immigrants, it may be something different. Here'd be the real thing. I can't necessarily go into her motives. What I can say is if you were not the only one and she has a history of doing this kind of thing, then that usually goes hand in hand with a contempt for black men, which is a way of attempting to pander to the dominant society to get favor with them. Because what they're doing is signifying, hey, look, I don't really dig black men. Can you all give me some extra benefits? Can you all give me some extra benefits and preferential treatment? Hey, don't you see? I really dig y'all. So that type of pandering that goes on, if you see a pattern of that, that's that unhealthiness I was referring to. So am I saying that she did? Am I saying that she did? I'm saying maybe, because here's the real thing. Think of it this way, okay? We as black men, we encounter no shortage of non-black females of every race and persuasion who want to enjoy the black experience because they heard what the black experience is. Okay, got it. But when a female tells us that, oh, you're more physically capable,
90 seconds.
When a non-black female tells us that it prefers to be with us because we're more physically capable than non-black men, that's not a compliment. Understand that. That's not a compliment. So her motives matter. Does that make sense?
Okay, I understand that. That's so... I think we come from two different worldviews.
60 seconds.
I mean, sure, I can sit here and come up with all kinds of negative stuff to focus on as opposed to it was just two people that was attracted to each other, bro.
Well, yes, but in the system in the world that we live in, it's not that simple. It would be different if you did not live in a world that recognized these distinctions and didn't have thousands of years of negative history. You're talking as if that history doesn't exist and doesn't have any effect on the world, and that's just not reality. Now, you may be speaking for yourself. You might be speaking for yourself as an individual that you don't, quote unquote, don't care. Even if I give you 100% credibility of that where Conrad is concerned, it's not an issue for him. He's a one-man United Nations. He'll sleep with anybody. He don't care where she came from, trailer park, meth, whatever. Conrad is open for business. Even if I give you that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, I was trying to give you as much latitude as I could, but okay, maybe not the trailer park, maybe the amusement park. But my point is, even if I give you full credibility for that, you're just one guy. You don't represent the Philippines. You don't represent Southern Asia.
No, I don't.
You don't represent China. You don't represent Europe. You're one guy.
That's right.
Now, assuming everything were equal, if everybody was like Conrad, I don't know if we'd be having a different conversation or not. What I do know is that everybody talks like...
we are a bunch of individuals.
Well, yeah, but everybody talks like Conrad in public. The problem is how they treat us. They don't treat us the way Conrad is talking.
And us is us meaning black people.
Yes.
Is that what you mean by us?
Yes. We don't have the ability to conceal what we are. Our legacy, remember, in Asia, the Europeans basically had a hands-off policy with Asia. They didn't colonize Asia the way they did Africa and target the way they targeted black people from African lineage. They didn't target them the same way. So your experience with all these groups, including Asians...
And you're saying white people targeted Africa.
Well, I can't say just whites, Arabs, and then here come the Asians. So we have a long-standing history of a negative environment with all these groups and a negative experience specifically targeting us. Case in point, it doesn't matter where you go, India, China, Vietnam, the Philippines. The lighter-skinned Filipinos are treated differently and better than the darker-skinned, more curly-haired ones. The ones who look more like what you find in China get treated better than the darker skinned ones. And same thing in India. You got folk in India who are
That's
darker than me. Darker than me.
That's that
and
color.
yet they get treated differently.
I think people are free to think that way if they wish. I think it's unfortunate. You're not going to get nowhere in life with that kind of. Well, maybe you have, but the vast majority of people, if you maintain that nebulous boogeyman around every corner of racism, which I don't say does not exist. I think it's very. You say it's global, and it seems like you're saying it's pervasive.
I say so. It's my opinion. It's global. It's not actually global. It's just my opinion.
Oh, okay. I retract what I'm saying then. Okay. Well, then everybody's entitled to their opinion, brother.
Sir,
But
well, I will leave it to you like this. If you needed to go apply for a mortgage, paperwork unseen,
which I have,
paperwork unseen.
Mm-hmm.
If all you had to available was to send them a picture of yourself, would you prefer to apply for a mortgage, go to court, or apply to college as yourself or as a black person? Would you prefer it?
I'm in the mortgage industry. It doesn't work that way.
Yes, sir, but you also understand the mortgage industry is not colorblind. Not at all.
Well, back in the day, it was not. You're absolutely
It's
correct.
not. It's not colorblind today, sir.
I'm sorry. How many loans have you done?
Sir,
I've done quite a few.
Sir,
Pretty colorblind.
Sir, you can literally go to YouTube right now and take a look at. There have been at least half a dozen stories of. There's a black couple in San Francisco, Los Angeles, Georgia, who their home appraisals. When they imitated a white family at the home's appraisal value jumped over $100,000. Story after story like that. No, sir, the real estate industry and the mortgage. The real estate industry and the mortgage industry are not, sir. The real estate industry and the mortgage industry are not colorblind, and redlining still exists to this day, sir.
Wow, I beg to differ. I'm in a pretty decent neighborhood, and down this street is a lot of black folk in my neighborhood, and these houses start in the 5. So.
Okay,
I don't.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many black folk. I'm not sure how many black folk live in your neighborhood. I don't know about that. What I do know is that they had to apply. They had to get different terms to get their mortgage than you had to get yours. It was nowhere near as easy for them. It was nowhere near, sir. You can call it whatever you want to. It's the law. It's the law of the land.
I'm in the industry. I know it.
Okay, sir. Do you realize how many illegal things happen to black people every single day? This is redundant. This is America. This is Western society. This is routine.
How many illegal things happen to white people every day? Like,
not nearly as many as it's okay. But for white folk and for non-black people, forget white folk. For non-black people, it's not defended and codified in law and upheld in courts. It doesn't work that way. When Asian people were getting attacked in New York, it didn't require a law of Congress, an act of Congress, or a presidential statement to do anything. The city went to work immediately, arresting people, calling it a hate crime. Here comes Joe Biden. Everybody, they didn't require any special treatment. They got folk to get on their case for them in the same month. We're still waiting 6 decades later to get the same protections. We get illegal stuff happen to us every single day. I see the kids are very, very active back there. So if your wife comes home, certainly I hope she brought some lollipops.
Oh, yeah, I got that taken care of. I got kids. But so here's this. Like, the idea that black people are marginalized or somehow oppressed, especially in modern times, is ridiculous. I'm a college-educated individual. As an Asian
but you're not
man,
black.
I know, for example, to get into college, and I'm not saying it is the case that black people that go to college are not qualified, but I do know to qualify is very low. No, I'm going there. And as an Asian man, I have to not only qualify above white people, but if it so happens that a black person would decide to go into college and a seat was needed, us Asians would have to give up our seat. So,
okay.
But
First of all, that's not
moaning
a
and
true
groaning
statement.
about it,
First
you
of all,
overcome it.
that's not a true statement. However, if you're trying to make the point you're trying to make is that there isn't any systemic racism. That's the point you're trying to make. Here's the problem.
No, that is,
sir.
I'm not trying to make
Here's
it.
the problem.
It. Like,
Sir,
all you have to do is apply.
Sir, I've already done a documentary with the preeminent white supremacists of our time. However, I'll give you all a spoiler alert. Asians are actually the best proof of systemic racism in America. You know why? You know why, Conrad? Now, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
You and I will both agree
Yes, sir.
that according to certain stats, because let's be very, very clear, the students in college who actually have the highest scores are not Asians. You can go Google that one for yourself. However, let's go ahead with the narrative, the stereotype that's put out, and the narrative that Asians outscore everybody else. I will go even further than that with you, Conrad. Let's just say the full white supremacist Monty, that Asians actually are smarter than everybody else, that they're intrinsically more intelligent than everybody. Conrad, for the sake of argument.
I don't believe that, though.
Okay, you don't have to believe it. Okay, you don't have to believe it. What I'm saying is, for the sake of argument, let's just go full Monty and just say that Asians are intrinsically more intelligent than everybody else. Let's just say they intrinsically score at the top of IQs than everybody else. Now, let's go even further and say that TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Corporation, Samsung, Matsushita Electric, Panasonic, Toyota, Honda, let's just say that these are all indicative in the student bodies and whether they are immigrants or not, born in America or not, that is all indicative of Asians having superior intellect. And the college scores bear this out. And the graduation rates bear this out, and that it would be even better if they weren't stacking the deck with all these black folk, which we can't find because black enrollment numbers have never really been that great. But okay, let's just say that that's the case. All these very talented Asian people, particularly in California, which has a very strong Asian population, which now outnumbers black people, by the way. The Asian population outnumbers black people in California now. Here's the question. Why is it that all of these Asians, who we will freely concede are more intelligent than everybody else, why is it that they are not equally represented at all of these in corporate America, in Silicon Valley, in all these places where in college they dominate in these fields? In the STEM fields, if the Asians dominate there, why is it that when we take a look at the corporations that have STEM, the Asians immediately start disappearing just like black people do, if there is no systemic racism?
Maybe you are looking at this all wrong, brother, because, like I said, first generation American, came here with nothing, applied myself, I make damn good money.
But you're not running. But you're not running anything. But you're not running anything.
I'm not.
So what I'm saying is that if there is no systemic,
if I'm running anything,
sir, because if you're better than everybody else, sir, if you have earned better scores than anybody else in college as a group, then that should also be reflected in the environment when it's time to get paid and get financial rewards. Your financial rewards are being, sir, your financial rewards are being artificially limited.
That have businesses. All you have to do is look at the number of Asians per capita that own businesses.
Sir, not anywhere near the capital markets of the white businesses that they should be executives in. Now, why is it that Asians hit a glass? No, why is it that Asians, sir, if systemic racism doesn't exist, then why is it that Asians have hit the same glass ceiling that black people did?
I don't think they have.
Yes, sir, they have.
How many CEOs are somewhere?
No, sir.
We talk measurement.
Okay, but yes, that is the measurement, sir. Yes, it is. No, sir. Silicon Valley should be just as equally representative of Asians as the Ivy Leagues are, and yet it's
That's
not.
What Asians are into, bro. You're trying to pigeonhole us. No, not every Asian person that goes into college. Most of us, by the way, go into STEM fields, and most of us get out.
But they're not getting into STEM corporate. Yes, most of them get out because they hit the same glass ceiling that black people do. That's why.
Yeah, okay, well, I'll hit my glass ceiling making six figures. That's fine with me.
And while you're making six
Apply.
figures,
That's all you
while
gotta do.
Zuckerberg is making 9. Think that over for just
And I
a
don't
few
care.
moments.
Well, why do I care?
Okay,
Like,
now
stop trying to compare
thank you.
yourself to other
No,
people and do
thank
better
you.
for yourself.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. What you just said right there, that's the fundamental difference between us and you. When you see systemic racism, you go back to picking the cotton. When we see it, we fight it. How dare somebody tell us that we are better than them, and yet we're going to take a second. We are not going to willfully take a second place trophy when we're first place. That's the difference.
I'm sorry, I don't think I have a second place trophy.
You just admitted you would take it. You just admitted you're accepting it. You just said I don't care what they're getting.
Six-figure
But
income.
but they're sitting on your first place trophy.
Need to make millions, brother. I don't need to make millions.
But if you're owed millions, you still don't get it. So you wouldn't care about getting millions even if you were owed it.
You're not. If I'm owed it, then I will get it. But that's not the case, is it?
Okay, but if there's a glass ceiling, then you are owed it.
There is no glass ceiling. The glass
I just showed you where it was, sir.
No.
I just showed you where it was.
It's not there.
And you just said it doesn't matter if it's there.
Well, because you're making hypotheticals. Like I don't.
No, sir. This is proof. No, sir. This is
millions.
proof.
He created Facebook.
Okay, sir. This is proof. And the fact of the matter is that Zuckerberg doesn't really run the company anymore, and he should have been replaced. Jeff Bezos. They haven't gone there.
Maybe so.
There should be Asians. There should be Asians running all the FANG companies, all of them. Twitter.
Why?
The rest of them.
Who says?
Because by your standard, if the Asians are doing so excellent in college at STEM, then that excellence should also translate into the real world, which is the whole purpose of going to college.
No, the real world is how many Asians actually apply for that position. Then
it doesn't matter.
Systemic nonsense. No,
sir. Yes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many do because they know
men are not represented in childcare. Well, that's because men don't apply to that.
Sir, the majority of Microsoft's programmers and senior engineers are Asian.
Right, because that's
okay. Now guess who the majority of their executives are. If the majority of your programmers and senior engineers are Asian, then shouldn't the majority of the executives of Microsoft be Asian also?
Not if they don't apply.
Okay, there you go. So you're just claiming that they're not applying?
No, they're not. That's not their goal. Like my goal is not to be the CEO
the CEO, I think it is of Microsoft, was named Sandia, whatever his name is. He's technically, he's Indian, but he's technically Asian in that regard. You take a look at look at the rest of the corporate. Yes, sir. You take a look at the rest of the corporate executive hierarchy. It should look like him, and yet it doesn't.
It doesn't look like him because the majority of Asians are not applying to be CEOs of something, sir.
Okay, I didn't say CEO. I'm talking about the executive management of the companies.
Okay, or executive management. That's not really the goal. Our goal is to provide for our family. We're not Asian as a culture, and I hate to go through the broad sense, but Asian cultures are very family-centric. We're not really into, it requires money, it requires a good job, a good income.
That's not family you're describing, that's submission. You're describing submission, not family.
You can call it submission, but...
Okay. We are not interested in submitting. We did that for 400 years. Our submission time is over.
Well, no one's making you submit to anything. Like, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Well, we're not going to willfully submit to it.
I feel like we're going back to the narrative of like black people are still oppressed, which
okay.
I really don't.
If you're a person who denies the evidence sitting in front of your eyes, I think that any black person who wants to be in a romantic relationship with you, that is their proof that they've degraded themselves. If they're willing to snuggle up with somebody who denies simple and obvious racism that literally everybody else around him acknowledges is there, even if they don't do anything, he is suggesting it doesn't even exist. Yes, I'm now making my verdict on if a black person gets with you. Yes, they would certainly have to degrade themselves to get next to somebody who denies that racism exists, systemic racism exists, systemic oppression exists. This guy denies it's even there. So they might as well be They might as well be snuggling up to Donald Trump.
As a country, or than we were 50 years ago, or how did that happen?
It's the same level, sir. It's never been more or less. It's the same.
The same level?
It's the same.
I haven't seen any lynchings lately. I don't know what you mean by
sir,
level.
every time, sir, okay, we're not even going to get into this. Ask Breonna Taylor about being lynched. Ask Eric Garner about being lynched. Ask Eric Garner about being lynched. We can go down the list. You all know I'm the authority on this, okay? Well, sir, Conrad, you gave us a call in, so you won't be blocked in the chat room unless you start talking crazy here. But thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Yeah, like I say, I mean, at this point here, you all know where this is about to go. So, yeah, all right. And by the way, we just got the federal government to make lynching a hate crime. 300 years late, but we just got there. Look, understand something. I only did that to show you all that when you saw the way he started the phone call. Did you see the way he started it? Nah, man. It's, I believe racism exists and stuff. Talk to him long enough. Ain't no racism out there. No, it's not. So I wanted to walk you all through that so you could see, yeah, you stick around long enough, guess what happens? Caller from area code 443. You've been hanging on there for a minute. Thank you very much for your patience. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason. How you doing? Brother Craig from Baltimore, Maryland.
Brother Craig from Baltimore. What's on your mind, brother?
Hey, didn't want to hold you long. Let me make it quick because I know you got people backlog. First one, the first missile you should have fired at him concerning systemic racism and mortgages, that 50% of the loan modifications that were filed by African Americans to Wells Fargo were denied, number one. And Wells Fargo has been notorious for destroying black wealth in the black community.
You're
number
correct.
Two, you were saying, sir?
You're correct. Although his
Okay.
answer to you would have been what it was to me, which is, well, that's illegal. You see, they got fined for it and punished, right? That's illegal.
Yeah.
So that would be his response. Okay, but it didn't stop them from doing it because they've done this several times now, actually. So it hasn't stopped them from doing it any time. Yeah, it's still illegal, and they're still doing it. Oh, and they're still in business.
Also,
It's still illegal. They're still doing it, and they're still in business. Go ahead, Craig.
Mm-hmm. And the next point was, as far as the previous call, as far as the Coast Guard, and you were saying recruiters are out of touch. Remember, the Coast Guard is not part of the Department of Defense. It's under the Department of Homeland Security. It only falls under the Department of Defense along with the U.S. Merchant Marine when an act of war has been initiated that it needs them to be under them. And that can deny you veterans benefits because if you're not disabled during the time of combat, you can't file as a veteran of the Coast Guard to the Department of Veteran Affairs. And last, talking about this topic that you're doing tonight, this is great, and I hope you pick it up again because you need to go to BNC's YouTube page. That's the Black News Channel. Dr. Jessica Mormon of Wayne State University. She was on there. She had a 9-minute interview on the show Being Applied, and now because they know that the feminist work mentality doesn't work, she came up with a strategy called strategic singlehood for black women. I hope you look at that video and then do another broadcast of The Business about what she said and break that down. So because the intellectuals, like Minister Jeff said, they've helped messed up and broke down the black family and broke up black women just as much as social programs has done the same.
Well, certainly sending them off into these colleges has not helped at all because you're taking them out of high school and you're handing them off to academics and you're telling them now that these kids have gotten to a point where they are starting to develop some intellectual independence and starting to form some of their own ideas about the world. You're sending them off to a college, which they're assuming, well, somebody vetted your ass to be in front of this classroom teaching people. And then now you're sitting there, they don't understand how colleges really work. So you're sitting here talking to this radical feminist who has tenure and can basically sit up here and say any crazy thing they want to you and pass it off as reality, and then away you go. So we don't have an academic class. As black people, the academic class is really a wannabe white class. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, Melissa Harris Perry, all of them are fighting themselves and knocking themselves over to show white people that they identify with them more than they do with us, to the detriment of the rest of us. So as far as I'm concerned, the worst thing you could do is send your kids off to one of these places and have that happen. The only thing they can do is get screwed up. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight, Craig. Let me get a caller from area code 816. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good evening. This is Apex calling out of Honolulu, Hawaii by way of Kansas City, Missouri. First, I would like to say that it would work if we send our kids out to college, if we brief them before they go. Secondly, I would like to say, speaking on the boredom and that Coast Guard recruiter, female, I'm out here in Hawaii, stationed in Hawaii. I won't say which military installation. But a lot of these black females who come out here, in beautiful Hawaii, I have 2 posters on my wall that have adventures, Hawaii adventures, such as diving, trails and whatnot. They can't even go to the beach or go scuba diving on account of their weave. So they kind of handicap themselves. They are relegated to practicing. They're here in paradise. They call this place paradise. They're here in paradise, and they're literally acting like and behaving as if they're back in Atlanta or Chicago or LA. All they're doing is on the weekends, they're going to go down to the club in Honolulu, get drunk, get laid up on, and that's that. And rinse, wash, and repeat. Secondly, they are so bored that they cause trouble on base. Now, I run into this when I go to the DFAC, and I'm dealing with, if it's 2 lines in a DFAC and I see that there's a black female that's serving, I will go to the other line because I know when I get to her, she's going to make me repeat myself. If I say, let me get this, this, and this, she's going to purposely pick the wrong item to scoop on my plate, or she's going to make me repeat myself. You heard me the first time. I speak loud, assertive, and sharp and clear. You heard me. You're just doing it to nag me and to irritate me. So they do that. Also, they sleep with low-level men. These, I call them charger niggas. You know, the Army guys who are, the Army black dudes who are just fascinated with muscle cars and whatnot. All they want to do is just dress fly, get their muscle cars. They sleep with charger niggas, low-level men. Also, out here in Honolulu, what I found out is they engage in scamming. What they do is they'll create a fake profile with a local girl name, with a Hawaiian name, Hawaiian pictures and everything, and they will solicit sex for payment from soldiers. They'll find your location, hit you up on Snap, or hit you up on Tinder, and solicit money out of you. And obviously, because they are not who they say they are, they never deliver. They never provide the services and goods, right? Then you have the barracks bunnies. Obviously,
okay, well,
if you're
I would love to be able to run down the whole gamut of them, but it sounds like this could take a while.
Yeah.
Needless to say, it's a lot of flagrant stuff going on out here. What I will say is this much. I will say this. I will say that, isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing that you can be a black man and your money is all straight and you're not in the criminal mischief and this, that, and the other, and you could be passed over for a white dude who's the mechanic at FedEx? Now, I want you all to think about that for just a few moments. The next time that you start hearing about a bunch of complaints, see, a black man's got to be a damn Rhodes Scholar, and this is after Pookie and Ray Ray have had their ride. A black man's got to be a Rhodes Scholar, and he's got to be, you know, just on point and an academic, and he's got to know about your soap operas, and he's got to be willing to sit up here and you know, laugh at your damn TikTok videos and Instagram and all this old crap. He's supposed to be able to do that. Brad ain't got to do nothing but walk in the damn door with a corny ass laugh, and all of a sudden, oh, we're so compatible. Think about that for just a few moments there. The bar isn't very high for them to clear. I'll let you have the last word.
Now, to say to that last point, I did see something similar to that where I seen at night, I was walking to the store, and I seen this black female, dark skin. She had a nice shape on her, pencil, you know, tight pencil dress or whatever. and she was walking with the white guy. This chick had a long blonde weave in her hair. The white gentleman had on some cargo shorts, a T-shirt, and like some Crocs. Now she's dressing like she's going to go to his. He's dressed like he's about to go have some beers with the bros. She put on with this white dude, but I guarantee if it was a black dude, it would not be the same. That's all I have to say. Peace to you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Like I say, I just suspect a few things there. But we'll see how that goes here. But like I say, folks, I mean, I think there's a lot that's been learned here. To any of the ladies here tonight here, especially those, if you check the link in my description, you'll see the link to our Patreon. You definitely want to sign up for that because let's be very, very clear. Ladies, let's be honest. It's boring. You got a job, you got some houseplants or some kids or a dog, and that's life. If I asked you what you did today, the most you could do is say, well, I went to go to the store. It's boring. The whole damn thing is boring. Your job hasn't enhanced your life. It robbed you of one. That's a hell of a spot to be in. It didn't improve your situation. It robbed you of having one. Maybe it's time to take a look at it and see if there's some adjustments that can be made. I want to thank you all for joining us here tonight on tonight's broadcast of The Business. If you are new to The Business, welcome to the program that laid the foundation upon which all these copycats are going to be stealing and remixing everything they heard here tonight and then regurgitating it. I would say next week, but they're probably live now doing it. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and click that yellow notification bell so you can join us all the time. YouTube does have us under a shadow ban, which means that they don't share our videos. They block people from getting it and whatnot. So if you do subscribe to it, make sure you check in frequently, especially on the community tab where we can post on it to let you know when we're going to be broadcasting here. And if you haven't considered joining our Patreon, you want to go ahead and look into doing that as well. We do it every weekend. A lot of good conversation that we're able to conduct over there without being censored like we are over here. So definitely join us for that as well. I want to thank everyone, and I mean everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program here on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that, especially here. I know you could have gone and tricked it off at the club, but thank you for turning lip service into foot service. We always appreciate that. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.